First down pass attempt, felt the pressure and went down. It was Bernard who affected him.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Altmaier steps up, drives the ball, and it is intercepted. J.T. Woods again. That is his second of the night.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
They're going to throw, and they're going to score. It is Thornton celebrating with his teammates.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
That one picked off, and it's a pick 6 by Jalen Petrie.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. I was asked to start off the show today by saying, let's break this bread. I have no idea what it means. Is it something that's a young, hip thing? What?
No, it's let's get this bread.
Oh, let's get this bread. Okay, let's get this bread. All right, we are full throttle today. What a great day it's been for Sikkim365.com. Jack and Craig just got back. Grayson was also at NFL Pro Day at Baylor. We'll hear in a moment from Jalen Petrie. He'll join us on today. He ran the 40. Among many things, then Grayson will join us to kind of rehash a little bit of what he saw at 3:40. Craig and Jack were there. We'll hear from them momentarily. Tweety Carter, now a new member of Baylor's men's basketball staff today at 3:15. Kendall Brown, former Baylor guard, wing, forward, whatever you want to call him, NBA prospect now, will join us at 4 today. And then also top five at the end of the show in between that. John Machota on the Cowboys and Martin Moore, author of this book, You Can't Defeat Nature. He contacted us after the Baylor women lost that game to South Dakota about how sometimes you freeze up when you're in athletic competition and some of the things that go into that. And he contacted us about this book. He sent it to us, A Coach's Guide to Winning. Martin Moore will join us today at 4:45. So, all right, Craig, you were there at Pro Day. Jack was there. He's working on a couple of things. We'll hear from Jalen Petrie for a couple minutes in a minute. Your thoughts about anything in particular that you saw that maybe stood out to you?
Yeah, where were you guys? Why don't y'all come check it out? I guess busy. I'm literally asking. Yeah.
Well, I had an appointment.
I had my annual physical.
Well, it was a good turnout, and there was 31 of 32 NFL teams there. XFL was there. CFL was there. I saw the Edmonton Eskimos, and couldn't catch everybody. Not everybody was in team gear, but I tried to catch as many as I can. I'm not sure. I've already had 2 people ask me who the one team is in the NFL. I have no idea. I know some of the teams that were there, but I couldn't track down everybody that wasn't, or like I couldn't see every single person and, process of elimination, find that one team. So I don't know who that was, but yeah, 31 of 32 and the other leagues there as well. And, it's a pro day. It's not like there's like some big grand thing. They go out there and they work out. It's just like the combine, but it's in the indoor, and it was quiet, and scouts were just writing down their notes, and the guys were out there hustling and working hard. It was interesting. John Lovett was there working out, Penn State running back who was at Baylor and then transferred last year to Penn State. Sort of saw some time, not really what we thought it was going to be for him. And I do wonder, had he stayed at Baylor, what kind of combination he and Abram Smith could have been with this offense, being such a great straight-line runner and as fast as he is. But regardless, he went to Penn State, did his thing, and was back for Pro Day. And seemed to do well. It was cool to see him around some of the guys that he played with for, so many years until last season. And, I just think guys built on what they did. Jalen Petrie had a good 40 time. Said it was between like 4 something and 4.51, which is a really good mark for him. So that should only boost him further. And, then there was just other guys out there who didn't get combine invites, guys like Zeke Brown and Raleigh Tejada and those types of players who, we're just trying to get a look. Giancarlo Valentine, just trying to get a glimpse since they didn't have the all-star games or the combines to get that attention. So, yeah, it was a pro day. It was cool. Those are kind of like the highlights of it, and I think everybody felt pretty good about what they saw today and the turnout for it as well.
At some point, Jack, who was there as well, who's breaking down the Jalen Petrie interview for us to have here in just a second, we'll get his view on this as well. Grayson at 3:40, and we'll be all over it with Jalen Petrie, of course, as Craig mentioned, with a very nice 40 time that he needed to run. It didn't hurt, let's put it that way, to run. Also, one of the other notes today is Kendall Brown announced that he is going to enter the NBA draft, and he will join us, I mentioned, at 4 o'clock. Not a surprise. John Jacobs, yesterday when we had him along with Alvin Brooks III and Jared Nunes, he pretty much alluded to the fact it's their timeline to decide when they let people know they're turning pro, referring to Kendall Brown and most likely as well to Jeremy Sohan, who you would think would probably be next. Not a surprise. Good luck to him. I thought he was great to cover. I know there were times people wondered if he was more dynamic on offense. I know one thing. Had Baylor been full throttle and they had been able to play up and down with whoever, Kendall Brown would have scored an extra 4 to 5 points a game. Because that was what he did real well.
Yeah, look, I think the most impressive thing that you saw from Kendall Brown is, and probably also on Jeremy Sohan, is that you had freshmen stars buying into playing defense right away. Kendall Brown's an excellent defender, and that's going to help him out early on in the NBA as he develops his offensive game. And look, they had to tell him, they had to say, look, you need to shoot some more threes. And a lot of times you have to tell them you've got to stop shooting so many threes. The opposite problem was the case with Kendall Brown. I think he's going to be a really good NBA player. And look, that's what, that's kind of what the basketball world is now. It's not necessarily what you have done. It's what you can do. Mm-hmm. And look, if he can go make all the money, he can go
move well. He could be a first-round pick. It's wild how that kind of works out to where, Kendall Brown did not have the type of year where you go lottery pick, NBA draft. He would not be a guy that you just, if you didn't follow it, if you watched him, you just had no other earthly idea of what was going on, he wouldn't have been one of the guys that stood out to you as the top 10 players in the upcoming draft. But when you actually look at potential and measurements and skills and then panning out, obviously, he is one of those guys. It's just odd to me how different it is from, football, for example, and their draft process. But good for him. Not a surprise. You start to have success and you start recruiting these players who have the opportunity to be one and dones. You'd rather have them than not have them, I think. And so you'd rather have had that 1 year with Kendall Brown and potentially Jeremy Sohan than not have had him at all. And in their 1 year, they both played very well. Certainly, you'd love to have them back, but they'll do well for you as ambassadors in the NBA, hopefully for a very long time, which is a group that's growing immensely for Scott Drew this last year or so, and will now continue to grow.
It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 people, including John Levitt. I think it says quite a bit. And Jack, let us know when Petrie's available. I think it says a lot. John Levitt came back to Waco for his pro day.
We're talking about Kendall Brown. Or are you switching? Okay.
Yeah, just switching because we're going to go back to pro day. I want to go back to John Levitt. And I agree with all the things you were saying about that, is that John Levitt coming back to Waco for a pro day, even though he transferred because he was looking for something new, to me that says quite a bit about what he thought about Baylor.
Yeah, I think it's good. You kind of can play the what-if game with John Levitt. If John Levitt comes back, they had probably already decided, maybe not 100%, but pretty close, to move Abram Smith to running back as spring was beginning. But the urgency to move him there may not have been there had John Levitt come back. it might have been just like, let's see what happens with Abram, but he got moved there urgently because John Lovett left. They didn't have anybody that could do what John Lovett does, except Abram. I mean, that was a running back the previous year. So that's kind of interesting to me in the grand scheme of things with that. Like, if John Lovett comes back, what would Abram's role have been? Because it wouldn't have been this urgency, like, let's see what he can do.
Yeah, and most likely he wouldn't have had the record-breaking yardage. Nothing against him because he was fantastic and dynamic.
Sharing carries.
He would have been sharing some carries most likely with John.
He definitely
Lovett.
wouldn't have, because that would have been 3 running backs taking carries because Ebner was there as well. Yeah. So, Lovett would have taken probably some of Ebner's, but not most of it. But he would have taken some of Abrams. And, Abrams not the all-time single-season rushing record holder if that occurs, but might also helped him out a bit not having to take as many hits or, as many carries, because when it came down to it, who's the guy that got the ball? It was Abram Smith every single time. So, other than that, though, I think it would have been a hell of a 3-headed monster with all different sorts of skill sets, because John Lovett, I don't know how successful he would have been. I'm saying he would have been based on the fact that he's fast and he can go straight up field, and that's something that Matt Rule said from day one about him. And what were they saying during the spring last year? They had guys that were either not welcoming in or looking for the contact like an Abram, and that's where I don't know that John would have been like physical like Abram was. But the straight line speed, burst, long runs, that's where he really could have been a killer for them. Abram handled the physical toll, and they needed him, and they would have still needed him, I think. But it was certainly, he doesn't break the rushing record.
No, he does not. We want to give you a quote. We'll do that following Tweety Carter and down the road with Grayson and Craig and Jack talking about Pro Day and us as well involved. Taekwon Thornton thoughts about Gary Bohannon when he watched him at practice and what, of course, has gone on with him at practice in that quarterback competition with Blake. At the Pro Day, excuse me, in the middle of that quarterback spring drills competition with Blake Shapen as well. Here is after Pro Day. Baylor star, and literally played that position as well, Jalen Petrie after Pro Day.
Jalen, what did you try to show today to the scouts?
Yeah, I just wanted to come out here and be fluid in my drills. Obviously I didn't run a 40 at the combine, so I also wanted to show them that I do have that speed, the long speed, and, just have fun with my teammates. This was the last time to come out here and, have fun with those guys, and I think we did that. And it was good that the rest of the team showed up as well, so it was a fun day for us.
Did you get a time on your 40?
Yes, sir. It was like 4.44 to 4.51 range. So in that range, coaches got it at different times, but it was a solid time.
Is that what you wanted to do? I mean, is that kind of the range you wanted?
I wanted to go under 4.45. So, yes, sir.
What's this whole process been like? The combine, the Senior Bowl, all that?
Yeah, it's been a surreal process. Like this whole experience is, obviously different for all of us, our first time. And, I'm grateful, to be here and to experience, all these great moments. A lot of people don't get the opportunity to do this, and, I'm glad that I was chosen.
Seen you pretty high on the draft boards. What is your expectation going in?
I believe I'm the best out. I believe that I have the tool set along with the mentality to, make plays in the next level. And, I'm just trying to relay that to, the coaches and the executive staff on those NFL teams as well. So hopefully they could, choose me pretty early because I think I'm the best.
Jalen, do you have any private workouts set up?
No, sir.
What sort of feedback have you been getting from scouts?
That I'm an early guy, day 1 or day 2. So it's looking pretty good right now, and I'm grateful in the position I'm in.
Jalen, obviously you're a guy who's used to big moments. What are the nerves like when you come out for something like this?
Yeah, the 40, obviously, because it's foreign to us, and we're not, you're not track runners, so that's probably was the most nerve-wracking because it's not something that we're, really used to. But when they brought the footballs out, that was, second nature for us. We were moving around and having fun like we was in Indy again out here at practice.
How much easier does it make it when you have guys and teammates that you're used to seeing alongside of you doing these things?
A lot easier, when you get to come out here and compete with your teammates, and just rub that energy off of each other, it makes your job really easy. And that's why I think we, did what we did last year because of the bond that we all have.
Is this a lot like the dream maybe that you had how many ever years ago that this is reality now?
I'm gonna be honest, not really. I never, dreamed of, going to the NFL. I always dreamed of graduating from college and getting my degree, but, God had greater plans. So, like I said, I'm grateful to be here.
All right, that's Jalen Petrie, All-American for Baylor after Pro Day today, and his thoughts about running the 40 and his dreams and all that, and answering questions from the media. It's good to see all of them back. It's good to see names that were stars in a team that won a Big 12 championship and a Sugar Bowl, and then some that are trying to get their name at least in somebody's mind or on their notepad. By the way, Jason Lamb, he's an area scout for the Kansas City Chiefs, former Baylor football player. He was there today in attendance, and one of the 50 scouts, as Craig mentioned, who was at Pro Day inside the Allison Indoor facility as Baylor showed off their talent for the upcoming Class C NFL draft that's in the end of April. It's in Vegas, I think, this year as well. All right, yesterday we went down the line. Alvin Brooks III, John Jacobs, and Jared Nunes joined us about their promotions. And then how about the addition? The great Tweety Carter, Baylor men's basketball player, director of player development. Hey, Craig Smoaky and also Paul here with us. What does that mean when you hear that title now?
Man, it's a huge blessing. Thanks for having me today, man. It's been an awesome week. Been a long week, but I'm excited, blessed, and I'm just happy to be a part of the BU family. As a coach now.
What does it feel to finally come off the road playing ball? And I mean, look, this was where you're headed, Tweety. You were always going to be a great coach, but what does it feel like to take the next step?
Oh man, it feels amazing to hear my daughter say, "Daddy, you don't have to go far away no more." To hear my kids, my wife, to have me back home, for good. Not for us. Not playing basketball, traveling overseas, and things like that. It just feels amazing, and God is really, really, really good, because, He knew, what we needed as a family, and He provided a way.
Tweety, can I get some of that fresh Nike gear?
Oh, for sure. Yes, sir.
No, in all seriousness, you did play overseas for a long time. Just in terms of this life-changing moment of getting into coaching now, like how hard was that, just the player side of you and just the travel? Do you think you're going to miss that? Like how much of a debate was that in your head, or was it not much of a debate because of the opportunity and because you have been playing so long?
Mind you, right? When I came home like 2 months ago, almost 3 months ago, my wife was like, are you going to announce your retirement? And I'm like, I'm not ready for that right now. I'm not ready to say it yet, so to play for so long, man, and have to walk away from it as a player was tough. It was emotional, and I cried about it, because I'm walking away from the game as a player and jumping into it as a coach. So I'm back a rookie again, but to have all those years of experience as a player, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It made me grow up a little bit more, traveling, seeing overseas, adjusting to different things. And, to be where I'm at now is just unbelievable feeling. It's just an unbelievable feeling.
The reaction.
I'm excited and happy.
The reaction has been amazing, overwhelming. Tweety, I know that there's certain things you can or cannot do in the role you're in, but what will be more competitive, Tweety Carter the player or Tweety Carter the basketball coach?
Well, the good thing, Tweety Carter as a player is over with.
Yeah.
So me competing as a player, I'm not really into that. I'm really into growing as a coach, especially with the family we have on the staff, man. The coaches we have are amazing. Been all help. Anytime I have a question, they always there for me to help me out. I'm looking forward to growing, just like I was as a player. I'm looking forward to growing as a coach. The same exact approach. Just now I'm on the other side of the ball.
We asked all three about, what they thought of you as a coach. And I think it was John Jacobs said that you've been a coach because you were a point guard since you were essentially in 7th grade. Do you feel that way a little bit? Coach
Jacobs is really really great guy, man. Like, he's always happy when he comes to the gym, and to have him say that means a lot, but just in general of me playing majority of all my life, prepared me for this moment. It's a moment that I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna approach it with confidence. I'm gonna approach it with the will to learn, the will to get better. Again, just like I was as a player, and with that, I get to learn from, one of the best programs in the world. So, what better feeling than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tweety, how far back does this go? Was this something that was sort of impromptu, or you talked to Scott Drew at all about like, hey, one day, I'd love to be on? Like, how did that kind of all work? And so, love to hear that part. And then once he called you, what was your reaction?
I mean, for me, I always wanted to be a part of the Baylor staff, always. But I never voiced it too much because, I didn't look at Baylor to hire me on. I looked at Baylor as a family and, a program that helped change my life, turn me into a man, help me be better prepared to be a better father, better husband, and things like that, right? And when you come back, you have the guys that's here, and all it was to help and give back to Baylor because of what they did for me and my family, So just to get this opportunity was a blessing. But no, Coach Drew don't promise anything. He never promised me that I would be on the staff or anything. I always came, I always made myself available whenever they needed me to be here. And hard work do pay off, and God is good of the loyalty part, staying down no matter what, because it never was about a job for me with Baylor. It was always to help build the program, to continue to build a program. And I mean, as you see on the interview, I said it, God brought me here to be a part of a special program, and, look where I'm at now. And I meant that back in 2000, whenever I said it, but 2010, to have that interview and to be here now, it says everything.
So what was that phone call like? Was it a phone call that Scott Drew gave you?
Yeah, he called me at 8 o'clock at night and just told me I had to come to the gym the next day. And when I came to the gym, he told me make sure I bring a suit. I'm like, I don't have a suit, coach. But I went to get that immediately, and I had the interview, and again, no one never promised me anything. I know a lot of people was up for the job, and God just made a way, and I'm just thankful that the Baylor program and the staff chose me.
Jared was on with us yesterday in our last hour, and he mentioned that he's already tried to start giving you some advice on this Nike product and how the veterans expect it. And he then said that you are going to have some guidelines, some rules that you're going to have to. Yeah. So you've already started jumping right into this, huh?
Yes, I have to. Everybody got to come back. You have to come back and see us, baby. It's been about the family. It's going to continue to be about the family, and that's what it's about for me. Is continue to build Baylor program through the past players as well. Because if the more we can come back and give back to these younger guys, the stronger the program will be. And I think that's the beauty in it for me. And it's been like that for years, to come back and say hello to these guys, compete with them, and guide them in ways that, sometimes everybody, other people may not, and to have that feeling and to do that is just, again, it's just amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, Tweety's not running Amazon.com. He doesn't deliver to you. You come and you can pick it up. I like that.
Yeah, they have to come.
Yeah, I like that. Like, hey, listen, I got a big stack of stuff for you. It's sitting right here when you come.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
The present players are looking forward to meeting all the guys, so they have to come back. We'll have it laid out for them.
Tweety Carter, the Director of Player Development of Scott Drew's staff at Baylor Basketball, joins us again. He is with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. How much does and I don't know exactly what you can or cannot do when it comes to looking, scouting, recruiting. I know there's certain rules, or even practicing against, but how much does your connection to Louisiana help with what you can do when it comes to what they're trying to find the talent in that great state?
Oh, the best thing is, I'm from there. But, I have, my high school coach there too. At the same time, Timmy Bird, who done a great job of getting us here. And I think that's the best part is that we had four players now and more that came from my area, and of course Lace Dunn from Monroe. Louisiana is overlooked, I think, and I feel like everybody should recruit more in Louisiana, but look, we for sure are going to be down there. Not much of me right now, but the coaches will for sure continue to do what they do. And I'm just excited, man. I'm real excited for this process to continue to get better. I'm excited to continue to learn rules, a lot of rules, but that's the beauty in it, is making sure, and that's what Baylor been about, making sure we do things the right way.
Tweety, what does it say about Scott Drew? You lose a legend in Jerome Tang for a job that, of course, he earned, and others that he could have had along the way, but he leaves, and everybody, even Aditya Malhotra and Ty Beard, among all of you, and then you're added. What does it say, the recruiting pitch, to keep that staff together when sometimes when someone leaves, there is attrition?
And without Coach Tang accepting that job in K-State, which is a huge blessing for him and his family, I'm so happy for him. He's a great guy, man. And, he's done a great job for the Baylor program, and I'm just excited for him. But this don't happen without him making a decision, and I'm just thankful that, it was me to be in this position to not replace him, because that's one person, that was very unique in what he do. He brought the best out of players, whether they liked it or not, he brought the best out of them. And that's what it's going to be about for me, to make sure we do everything in our powers to bring the best out of our guys on and off the court. And that's what it's going to continue to be about. And I'm just happy to feel to get this opportunity to hopefully help the way he did, and in my own way, and I'm just excited.
You've had the starring role of Ode DeJoy, and now you are a part of the Baylor men's basketball staff. You announced your retirement as well, an incredible career all around the world. You got to pinch yourself a little bit?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The other day I had to shed some tears. I told my wife, I'm just happy. Feel like I got drafted to play in it. So for me, it's just a huge blessing. I can't stress that enough, how blessed I am, how thankful I am. The coaching staff, the program, the players, the past coaches. You look and say, well, family, guys that's been here years ago, still considered family, still, I can call and talk to. So for me, it's just keeping those relationships, building those relationships, and making Baylor that much stronger. I think it's what it's going to be about. And that's what that's what it's been about, and that's what it's going to continue to be about, is just building this family up to strengthen this program more and more every year.
Everybody on staff yesterday, thanks, Tweet. I know you got to go. Said they needed somebody else who could walk into the arena at practice, whatever, with a smile on his face. And we know that you're competitive. We know that you're going to drive them, push them. But we know you've got that Tweety Carter smile. Thanks for your time. Congratulations. He's going to be able to not have to worry about what time zone you're on. We know where you are. Yeah. We know where you are.
Yes, sir. You call me anytime.
Thank you, Tweety.
Anytime. I love you guys. Thank you for having me, man. I can't wait to talk to you more, especially when the season get going, and we looking forward to it. Sick and Bears.
Yes, sir. Tweety Carter, Damon Tweety Carter, the first McDonald's All-American, the one who started the run towards Baylor's unbelievable run, even when there were sometimes years that didn't quite end the way everyone thought. And he's now a part of that staff with Scott Drew and company.
It's akin to Robert Griffin III joining the football staff.
It really
is, because as beloved a Baylor basketball player as there ever was or will be, is Tweety Carter.
When we come back, we'll take a break right here. We've heard from Jalen Petrie. We've heard from Tweety Carter. Grayson Grundhafer with Craig and Jack at Pro Day today as Baylor has wrapped that up. What a day it was on campus. 50 overall scouts, 31 NFL teams, and also teams from the XFL and CFL. We'll get Grayson's idea about what maybe some things that popped in his mind. Next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco, a hidden gem. They've got a fantastic drive-through window, and I'm going to focus on that today. A lot of times you see a place with a drive-through window that kind of just have it so they can say they can have it. You're not really saving any time other than the fact that you don't have to get out of the car. Like, that's the only time you're saving is the opening and shutting of the car door twice. That's it. Most of the time you might be sitting in this line forever and ever and ever, and you're better off just going in the store. That's not the case at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. You drive into that drive-through window, you tell them I'd like a bottle of this and a bottle of that, and boom, it's in your car and you're out the door. Not even in the door. You're on your way to wherever you're going like that. That's how fast the drive-through is at Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the City of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Cars priced right both day and night at Richard Car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue at Richard Car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room at Richard Car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust at Richard Car in Waco, Texas.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Couple of notes. The United States, the American, the U.S. World Cup team. Can I call them that yet? Or do they have to take care of business? Costa Rica tonight, they qualify for the World Cup with a win, a draw, or if they lose by fewer than 6 goals. And in soccer, if you lose 6-0, that's like getting beat 85-0 in football, correct?
Yes.
Costa Ricans have been playing pretty well. But again, that's probably a little bit too much for them. So that's tonight. 99.9% the analytics say that they are sure to clinch a spot tonight to the World Cup.
I would just think strategically, if it got to even 2-0 or 3-0,
you just delay?
that 11 guys are going to play behind that line and essentially just not going to let them score after that point. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to have soccer, with some excitement and, all the international flair that comes with World Cup qualifying and all that. I've actually been wondering kind of where soccer sits now in terms of the rising sports and popularity of sports. Yeah, I probably need to go find some university or some company that's conducted a more recent poll kind of showing American sports fans, because I'll tell you, one sport that's skyrocketing is F1 racing. I mean, that's really become, one of the more popular sports right now. And soccer, we've seen the fandom and we've seen the feverish, World Cup parties and all of that, but we're still not a country where it's just, indoctrinated in us from birth like it is in England or, basically everywhere else in the world, quite frankly. But yeah, I think it's awesome. Obviously the women have had the better part of the success for the American soccer teams, but I know they've gone through a lot, like coaches and just trying to figure it out. So hopefully they can find a way to not lose by 6 goals tonight. I'm feeling pretty confident about that.
One of the notes, soccer note, Armstrong, I sent you the green laser. Do we have that? I don't know if you guys saw this or not. Mo Salah, he's one of the best players in the world. He was lining up for a penalty kick.
It's ridiculous.
And Egypt, he obviously for Egypt, and all the there's a point, if you were to freeze that, it looked like he had been splattered with the green stuff. And he missed the cut. He missed it. He missed the kick. Egypt goes home.
I will say this. What I am impressed with is that he could have reasonably probably said something like, hey, can somebody stop this crap right now?
Yeah.
But he didn't. I mean, so he kept his
How are you going to
cool
stop? There's no way. Now, I don't know if there's any rules. Again, I'm not into the football and soccer rules or whatever, but that does seem to be a little bit bizarre.
I love how the goalie walks out of the goal like he just did something. It's like, dude, there's a million laser pointers in this guy's eyes, and you didn't even barely move. You did nothing on this particular kick.
What's the Bill Murray? What's the one with the green, the Bill Murray movie? Who is it?
Ghostbusters?
Yes, it looks like he's been Ghostbustered right there.
Yeah, it's that's nuts.
Or it's the Nickelodeon or whatever on the NFL game when somebody scores.
Yeah, I think had that been Tiger Woods and they were doing that to him,
he would have backed away.
Yeah, he would have backed away.
There would have been somebody up in a tree, a sniper. He's gone.
Well, you remember him, I can't remember which event it was, but somebody clicked a camera flash right in his eye in his backswing, and he was justifiably angry and turned and said, the camera flashes, guys, come on, and then swore, and then all of a sudden Tiger, that was the first time people were like, oh, Tiger might be mean. Man, the guy's trying to make $1 million with a swing here.
To win a tournament. And his caddy at the time, Stevie Williams, was kind of had to be his hitman in some ways.
I guess laser pointer stock is way up in Senegal? Is that where you said this was? Yeah. That was a lot of lights, and I don't know why that's not banned. Why is there not some type of a rule to enforce to where, hey, he's not kicking until you put the stupid laser point? That's ridiculous. Can you imagine we were watching the NFL and a guy's kicking a field goal to win the game and there's 1 billion laser pointers on his face?
Yeah.
How is that even allowed? I don't understand. I mean, I know you can't just go confiscate every single green dot there, but how are we just oh, that's cool, just part of the deal? There's 1 million lasers in his face. He's trying to kick this important kick, and we're just okay, whatever. That's wild.
And there's so many fans that attend.
That's a Patriots kicker or the Cowboys kicker lining up for a field goal, and that's going on.
Cowboys fans pissing moan about the light from the actual sun.
Exactly.
That's God doing that, not this. I mean,
that's interesting that they just go with it, I guess, and make the kick next time. I guess you need to practice with lights shining in your face, perhaps, to prepare for a situation like that.
You know who the all-time leading victories in Formula One racing is?
Michael Schumacher.
No, he's actually now 2 with Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, okay, Lewis Hamilton.
With one more win than him. Michael Schumacher, the great name.
I was going to say, he's just the one from growing up. That was the only F1 racer I could name. But no, Lewis Hamilton, now that you said that, duh. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I didn't know that until I looked it up. I was just checking.
I definitely know that now that you said his name, because I've read a bit about Lewis Hamilton and how successful and everything he has been in F1 and color barrier and things like that, but just how many races he wins and how much money he's making. And he's a superstar, absolutely a superstar.
By the way, Maceo Teague's mom, Barbara Teague, who watches and listens to us, Barbara Brooks Teague, she put the green stamp of approval. My approval, yes, is what she put on her Twitter feed for Tweety Carter being added to the Baylor men's basketball staff. Well, Barbara, thank you so much.
I mean, she's that's important.
No, it is.
Yeah.
When we come back, Grayson Grundhafer on NFL Pro Day at Baylor. That and more. We have we have Kendall Brown joining us today just after 4 o'clock on his decision to turn pro. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Waco Custom Marketplace. If you order live crawfish you have just over 2 hours. 6 o'clock today, you can have it. Available live crawfish, 30-pound sacks of live crawfish, $3.75 a pound. Order by 6 o'clock today. Pick it up anytime after 4 on Friday or throughout the day when they're open on Saturday. Paul was at a big crawfish boil over the weekend, and they had all the product. We have the crawfish, the potatoes, the mushrooms, the sausage, all of it that was shrimp. All of it that was a part of being bought the product at Waco Custom Marketplace. It is absolutely delicious, the Bauer family and what they do and how they've handled that business for many, many years. They have the original Waco Custom Meats. It's the distribution for dozens and dozens of restaurants, not just around here, but all throughout the state of Texas. But their live crawfish, 30-pound sacks for $3.75 a pound. Available right now if you order this week. By the end of the day today, by 6 o'clock, you could pick it up on Friday for the weekend or anytime on Saturday. And the bakery and the butcher shop, full throttle with what you want, with beef, pork, poultry, seafood, fresh baked bread, and kolaches. Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Kendall Brown joins us at the top of the hour. His decision to enter the NBA draft. Grayson Grundhoefer. We've heard from Paul and Craig about NFL Pro Day, and also Jack McKenzie gave us the Jalen Petrie, and among all the other interviews. And Grayson joins us now on Sikkim 365 Radio, as he was there as well. So, Grayson, we had a little bit from Jalen Petrie. We discussed the 50 scouts, 31 NFL teams, other leagues as well. Anything in particular, one or two items that pop out to you on what you saw today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the place that you have to start are those 240 times for Jalen Petrie and Terrell Bernard. I mean, they did themselves some major favors by running at the Pro Day and running really well. Starting with Jalen, everyone loves Jalen. Like, you could tell from the scouts that were talking about him. I mean, they were just raving about him, just about, like, it was basically nonchalant, like, man, that Petrie guy is good. You know what I mean? Like, they know. And so for him to go out there and put up a time that I would say is probably on the high end of what people's expectations were, I was thinking he'd probably be a mid 4.5 guy, and he ends up running in the mid 4.4s, high 4.4s, somewhere in there, which is just great for him. And then as far as Terrell Bernard goes, again, elite instincts on the football field, much like Jalen Petrie, but a lot of question marks about whether he would run fast at the Pro Day. And to be honest, I think some people thought he'd be like a 4.8 guy. I kind of was thinking maybe a 4.7, like a low 4.7. And he ends up running, high 4.5s, low 4.6s. So that's massive for his draft stock as well. So those two really stood out to me. I think Abram Smith, 4.5 at 213 pounds is also something to keep an eye on, as I think he probably moved himself up a round or two as well. So overall, a great day. Taekwon continues to impress. JT Woods, people love how rangy and long he is as well. Gary Bohannon went out there and threw the ball for Drew Estrada and Taekwon and Treston Ebner and Abram. So it was a lot of fun. It was a really, really fun pro day, and it was great to see. Probably one of the better ones Baylor has ever had, to be honest.
Do you think anybody outside of that improved their or anybody maybe we're not talking about improved their stock today?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one because I know there have been a lot of people that have talked about how, Kalen Barnes, just the on-the-field stuff. Is he really a good football player or just a great athlete? And, guys, he really performed well during the drills. I wouldn't say that he was out of this world, but he caught everything going through the DB drills. It seemed like people were really intrigued by the amount of passes he was able to catch as a defender, just showing off really soft hands. And when you put that along with the fact that he's got an 11-1 broad jump, the blazing 40 time in the 4.2s, I mean, he's a great athlete. And I think today he really showed off that ability to actually translate onto the football field which I do believe will end up getting him drafted.
Grayson, interesting to see Gary Bohannon out there throwing, huh? And the comments subsequently afterwards from Drew Estrada, as well as who was it? Somebody else was commenting about him. I forget now. I went blank, but talking about his velocity and the zip on the ball.
Yeah, Taekwon was the other one that mentioned him. And he and Drew Estrada mentioned that they felt like there was a difference, that Gary had maybe gotten better or taken another step, at least in the velocity and deep ball department. And, truthfully, Gary's always done a really nice job in those type of settings throwing the football. He really has, and he continues to show it. And I felt like he was really accurate on the day as well. Now, again, it's just throwing the football to these guys, and they've been training together for a long time. So I think the biggest part to take away from it is probably the velocity part, because, Gary's been throwing with Taekwon for a really long time and Drew just this year. But, it's clear they have a connection. And then to hear them talk about Gary, improving and getting better, I think that's always a great sign.
Grayson, if you don't mind me turning the corner here a little bit with Josh White, obviously the LSU, he's entered the transfer portal. I believe I saw something to note that might be coming to Baylor or visiting soon, along with every blue blood good team in America, name or even success recently. How much would this be a monster win if Dave Aranda and company can bring him to Waco?
Oh, it would be huge, guys. And I actually had the chance to talk to Josh on my way up to Waco today before Pro Day, and really got some insight into kind of, what's going on in his recruitment now and just kind of how things have blown up once again for him. I mean, he was a top 150 prospect coming out of high school, so this really isn't new to him, but it's just another phase in the process. And Dave Aranda, Dennis Johnson, they both built great relationships with him when they were at LSU. They were his lead recruiters. He also has good relationships with Alec Osborne, Caleb Collins, you name it. Drake Dabney and him go back to middle school. They've been friends for a really long time, both from the Cypress area. So a lot of connections to Baylor, a lot of great relationships at Baylor. And so the Bears got his first visit. Dave called basically the day they entered the transfer portal. And, when the head coach calls you and offers you and has that relationship and that great communication with you, I think it really stands out. And he mentioned, him coming to Baylor is going to feel like a family reunion because he just knows so many people in the program and on the staff. He's coming on Saturday, so he'll be visiting Baylor Saturday. But I do believe he's going to take his time a little bit. He does want to make a decision by the end of the month, April. By the end of April, he wants to have a decision made. I think Texas and TCU are two schools that will likely get a visit over the next few weeks. And then USC is the out-of-state school that's kind of made a big push for him at the moment. So right now, based on what we talked about, it's basically those four schools involved early. He's got more offers as well. But it does seem like he'd like to be closer to home inside the state of Texas. And those ties with Baylor are definitely very strong. And I think, if you go and look at kind of his film and what he could bring to the table, I mean, this is a guy that could come in and play right away, especially since Baylor's trying to fill in at the will linebacker position now that Terrell Bernard is moving on to the NFL.
Had he not gone to LSU, did I see something in one of your posts inside the premium section that Oklahoma was hot on his heels as well? And obviously that's USC and Lincoln Riley now.
Yeah, we were laughing about that a little bit because he was saying how all these schools that are recruiting him now were recruiting him at different schools during his previous recruitment. So it's kind of funny, right? Because you got Lincoln and that staff. They were recruiting him at Oklahoma. Dave was recruiting him at LSU. Brian Carrington was recruiting him at Texas. He's at TCU now. The Texas staff was at Alabama. Now they're at Texas now, a lot of them. So, it's just kind of all comes full circle for him. And now he's trying to figure out his next destination. But I will say he visited Baylor a lot, during that 2018 recruiting period. He was a 2020 prospect, but he visited in 2018, 2019, because Baylor was his first offer. So he visited 3 or 4 times, was in Waco, likes Waco a lot, built great relationships with Coach Rule and Evan Cooper and Mike Sarabo, but ultimately decided LSU was the spot for him. But now, it's a second chance. And I think he realizes that, and he realizes that Baylor was a good fit for him probably the first time around, but now they also have Dave Aranda, which I think is also a big X factor for him in his decision-making process, especially because, he's a guy at LSU that had so many coaching changes on the defensive side of the ball, from Dave Aranda to Bo Pelini to, these next guys that have come in at LSU. And so I think he's looking for some stability, and I think Dave Aranda probably brings that to the table better than anyone else.
One other note, and then I will let you go, and we appreciate your time. Matt Jones in a cast, is that what I saw? A note that you had as well?
Yeah, he was on I don't even know what you call it. I guess it's one of those bikes where, you're kind of sitting on it, but it's more of like a rehab bike type thing. So he was on that with a cast on his, it's kind of on his ankle and foot. So I don't know which one the injury is, but I would assume, just based on his injury history, that it's probably an ankle. But I feel for him. I noted that he hadn't been at practice the past 2 Tuesdays that I'd been out to see the open session. And so, to see him in a cast at Pro Day, it's really a bummer, because I know Dave Aranda had great things to say about him in a ESPN feature, just talking about him possibly taking over at the will linebacker spot. So it's another speed bump for him, but I'm sure he'll get back to full 100% soon. And I wish him the best, because he's going to play a big role in their defense next year.
After the penalty against Oklahoma State, I thought he played his best football the rest of the way. Even after being in the doghouse, it seemed like when he did play, it seemed like he was very active, and maybe that was able to kind of get him to another level, almost as if he felt like he had to make up for something, whether he did or not. Grayson, thank you for the trip up here. Also, you and Craig and Jack at Pro Day. Thanks for your time, and be careful on the way back.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Grayson Grundhay for Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports on Tuesdays. Grayson and Craig with the Bearcast, full hour plus of nothing but Baylor like slobber. And I'm not saying that in a way of homerism, but just everything you can imagine.
Close, yeah. I don't do that homer thing like
that. No, that's not what I meant by it. That's why I wanted to clarify. I'm talking about, you want to hear anything about Baylor, whatever it is. The Bearcast is an hour plus of that for you to slobber as a fan of Baylor, not so much the opinions and stuff like that as well. Paul, did you hear that we mentioned Tiger and Craig in his off-the-radar play? He did play all 18 holes, walked all 18 yesterday.
Man, look, tug on Superman's cape. Just saying.
Rory McIlroy saying it would be phenomenal if, in fact, he was able to have a chance to play next week, whether he plays well or not. I don't know. Would you rather him not play, or would you rather him play and he goes out and shoots like 80 and 78?
I think I'd rather I want to see him play. I mean, I think it'd be, look, if he shoots an 80 after what he went through at one of the toughest golf courses on planet Earth, I mean, it just shows you, like, it's not his best, but it shows you how much better he is than a normal person.
If you can go to any course in America, and that's one that you feel comfortable, there's some that fit your eye, that right there, remember when he went through the time off, personal reasons, and all the other things he went through, he came back and played Augusta, played really well, except for a ball on, I think it was the 13th green on his second shot that hit the flagstick, rolled back in the water, and it kind of had the drop, and there was that's one that you could go and play. Look at some of the older guys that continue to play there and do well.
I'll tell you what, and he doesn't have this like he used to, but he did a couple years ago when he won the Masters. Was one of the things he captured back was, oh crap, it's Tiger. And if you're in that group with Tiger and he's somewhere in say he's not 80 and 78, say he's shooting kind of well.
He's in the mix.
He's in the mix.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Oh, crap, it's Tiger will come back, because you'd be like, this guy's not supposed to be walking.
Yeah, he lost that for a long time, but because he won recently, and he did, then it still might be there. Chris, I see a couple of your chat room comments, some of the soccer comments as well. We'll get to all of that as well. But coming up next, former Baylor guard wing Kendall Brown has made the announcement of his next move in his basketball career, and Kendall Brown will join us next on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Petty Clinic, LowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be. Here's what can happen as you get older. Doesn't mean you have to be my age. It could be in your 30s. It could be 40s or 50s, or even, maybe older than me, if that's possible. But there are symptoms that occur because your testosterone levels get too low. What is that? You can find out by contacting Dr. Kent Petty at pettycliniclowt.com. Pettycliniclowt.com online. He will set you up with an appointment to get your blood work. He'll look at the lab results. If the testosterone level's too low, he can give you the option of a program to increase your testosterone level so you can become the high-performance man that you want to be and maybe used to be. Whether it's your sleep habits, energy, sex drive, all of the above. It happens. It's part of Father Time. PettyClinicLowT.com.
At Allen Samuels, come see the Wagoneer Series 2 and 3 with 2.9% for 72 months plus $1,500 in bonus cash. For all first responders, get an extra $500. Shop this incredible vehicle that gives you performance, style, perfect for your family, and reliability your family deserves today from Allen Samuels in Waco. Come shop our huge inventory at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Abram Smith with a good run. Look at Abram Smith. They were pinned at their own 5 after the Mack Brown punt, and he weaves his way past midfield.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, Jalen Petrie, Tweety Carter, Grayson Grundhafer, a part of our very full throttle first hour. And now we speak and talk and visit with Kendall Brown, Baylor guard, forward, wing, man that can do it all for Baylor. And he joins us now on Sikkim 365 Radio, Paul Craig and David Smoak. Kendall's made the decision to join the NBA draft and go professional as well. Kendall, I don't think anyone's surprised with the decision. Was it a hard decision?
Yeah, it was definitely a hard decision for me, to leave teammates and friends in the area of Waco. This is my home for a long time, and I just you come around with emotions and you have to decide to leave people. But yeah, I know this is going to help me in the long run.
Kendall, just a year ago, you were coming to campus as a freshman and all that. 2 years ago, you're in high school. What is the rapid growth of an NBA prospect like yourself like? Is it a whirlwind? Does it feel like that at all, or does it maybe feel slower to you?
Yeah, I guess in the moment you don't realize it, but when you take a step back and I look at the bigger picture, you come a long way as a player. And for me, I just look at that and I got to be a little bit proud, to accomplish the things that I've done and stuff as a team. But yeah, it's kind of surreal when you think about it.
What's it been like the last couple of weeks, just in terms of watching the tournament and you guys being done? Has that been hard? And just kind of what's that feeling like for you?
Yeah, it's been hard, we definitely we should be in the Final Four right now, but credit to other teams, but it's kind of sad, but you can't dwell on it for too long. It's got to keep moving.
Kendall, you've had this dream and for a long, long time, and anyone that grows up playing basketball would have the dream of whatever professional league is a part of whatever sport that they like, basketball, football, or baseball. Is it something that, when did you actually first think you were good enough to play at the NBA level?
Really, I just thought that as a kid, ever since I knew what the NBA was, I was that was been my plan, nonstop. I never had a plan B. So I guess just the confidence of just believing in myself that I'm good enough to play there and I will one day. That's just the mindset that I've had ever since a kid.
What part of your game do you feel grew the most in your year here?
I would just say my pace. I feel so more mature as an overall player, not so rushed, and I just feel I just grew a lot in that aspect, and my jump shot and ball handling, etc.
Was it a quick year or was it a long year?
It did go by fast. I was talking to one of the GAs. It just felt like we were just coming back from the Oregon game, and now it's we're done with the whole season. So it went by really fast.
Not just done with the season, you're done with college basketball. You're off to the NBA. So that's crazy how fast that happens.
Yeah.
Kendall, we had an analyst, I believe, that told us one time that, for example, both you and Jeremy were those thought of as a possible what they call one and done. It's not that you raised your hand, and it's not that Kendall Brown got up one day and said, hey, I'm a one and done. You had to kind of make that decision, or Jeremy, or anyone. But it's kind of something that is put on certain players coming out of high school. Does that put additional, I don't know if the word is pressure, but a burden in a way on you?
Yeah, you can say that. It definitely, we talk about mental health and stuff with athletes. That's a lot of pressure, every day, every game, you either succeed or you fail. And with the pressure of, being a one and done or this and that, that can take a toll on an athlete. If he has a bad game or whatnot. But yeah, I would say there's definitely pressure that athletes would feel.
You part of the way through the year, they asked you to start shooting more threes. What does it say about you as a player that there's a lot of times they have to ask people to stop shooting as much or doing that you came in to do kind of maybe the little things first before the glory stuff?
Yeah, I'll just say that it just shows, like, I'll let the game come to me, and I'm not a player who will take a bunch of shots. Like, that's why I think it'll translate well in the NBA. You know, they're stars, and the stars get their shots, and I'm not a player that don't need to come in and take a bunch of shots right away. I can play off the ball, but it's like that helps me a lot.
Can you try to describe, you mentioned the year, either went fast, obviously, as you just mentioned with Craig's question, but you just thought you were playing Oregon last week, and all of a sudden it's gone. Can you try to put into words, even though it wasn't long, your time at Baylor, being a part of that staff with Coach Drew and so many others, and what you learned being a part of that staff and being at Baylor?
Yeah, being there, I definitely just learned, like, coming every day with the same energy, like just the same habits, and just instilling in me just to come and work every day. You know, nothing's given, everything's earned. So just coming in and working every day are good habits that I learned from them.
What would you say, and Baylor has their own class that's coming in, the newest class that's coming in, what would you say to somebody that is going to visit or talk to Baylor about playing basketball?
Someone that's going to visit or talk to them, I'll just say, you know, everyone there wants the best interest for you, and they're going to do everything to, you know, care for you and love you. And it's not like it's God first over everything. So, you know, basketball comes second in that aspect. But, yeah, like everyone here loves you. The community is great, and they're just going to come in here and work, you know, and get the job done.
You know, I know that that North Carolina game is going to live with you guys for a long time, but I did wonder this, and I haven't heard anybody say this, so I'll ask you. I think fans watching Jeremy Sohan did not realize that he could get in people's domes like he did. Did you guys know that he could get in the other team's head like he did against North Carolina?
Yeah, we've been known that. He's just he's just a dude that, you know, can get under your skin. Like, there's just something about him. Like, I don't know if it's like just the way he talks, and like it's funny, but yeah, he definitely can.
How often, Kendall, even in the moment of playing basketball at Baylor, how often did you or Jeremy talk or discuss the future about the possibility of turning professional at any time?
Yeah, I mean, ever since like we knew that we've seen that we could like take it to the next level. Like, we've always had conversations and stuff about our future. You know, as kids, you know, this is what we want to do. We want to play at the highest level. We want to play with the best of the best to get better. So just we would talk a lot about it.
What is it going to mean to you? And there's a long way to go between now and the draft. But what will it mean to you if you close your eyes for a second and you hear somebody calling your name, drafted by whoever it is among the NBA on draft night? What will that moment mean to you?
Yeah, I was going to be overwhelmed with emotions, you know. This was just a dream ever since a little kid, and all the work you put in, and the families and friends that sacrificed, and all the coaching staff that have helped me get better, you know. It's all going to come over at once, and like, this is the top of the top, so I'm just going to be overwhelmed with emotion.
Well, I want to tell you this. I know that the season didn't end the way you guys wanted, or Baylor fans as well. I enjoyed watching you play the game. And I always remember what that analyst said, that sometimes the burden that's put on players because they're great coming out of high school, of what people expect, that you should score 30 points a game or you should dominate. And I just thought you did whatever you could do, and it's always a learning process, and I think you're gonna be great. And I love watching you in the transition game whenever that opportunity arose as well, because it was like you were a Ferrari out there on the on the court as well. Thank you for representing what you did for Baylor, for the staff, and good luck going forward as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Kendall Brown, former Baylor men's basketball player who's now entered the NBA draft. Not a surprise at all. Yesterday, John Jacobs, again, going back to the conversation with him, that even I said, do you know for sure whether anyone has made their mind up about the next level? That includes Jeremy Sohan, Kendall Brown, Matthew Meyer, and others. And he said, well, we're going to, they have their opportunity. You could hear it, that you would expect that Kendall Brown and most likely Sohan as well. And I think everyone expects Meyer as well, but that remains to be seen.
One of the things I think with the one and done guys that Baylor can show is they can handle every which kind of person, whether it's a transfer that's going to stay until their eligibility is completely done, if it's a guy who's only going to be there a little while. You need to be able to kind of navigate both, because sometimes, you can be a one and done at a place and then you never get one again because it didn't work out in the NBA, and people are like, well, he didn't do a good job there, so I'm not going to go there. But if Baylor can show, and I think they have, that they can, balance whatever kind of term of your eligibility that you're going to get and maximize it, then that's only going to help Scott Drew and the staff recruit more guys.
I was going to bring this up, but it was seen because if you ever watched that series, Our Time on ESPN Plus, when Jared Nunes was trying to get Kendall Brown to be more vocal as a college basketball player, as a teammate, and I was going to bring that up. I didn't. Jared was talking about it. One, it's a memory that he kind of brings up the most, and that was it. He was trying to get him to say the word red, and he said, yeah, he's going to have to be much more vocal on the NBA court or in the NBA than he was in college. I know there were times because he was one and done, or people thought of him as one and done. People put that on him as one and done. That because he didn't score 23 points a game and have 9 assists and 12 rebounds, that there were some disappointments as far as people's perception or opinions. And that's just it's unrealistic. He's a different player. Jeremy Sohan's a different player, and others. I just saw a young man from Stanford committed to the NBA draft. Everyone's different in what they do, but Jeremy Sohan was a Swiss Army knife, right? With a lot of edge. But Kendall Brown in certain ways could be that way as well. All right.
You know who I see Jeremy Sohan fitting the best with? Is Greg Popovich. One, he's European, and they've been great at that over the years. And two, I mean, he'll do whatever you ask him to do.
The Mavericks and the Spurs, when it comes to European players, are the two Texas franchises. Of course, I know the Rockets are there as well, have done very, very well. Boy, the Mavericks are just on fire. And the Spurs are trying to chase down the Lakers for one of that last NBA spots. All right, when we come back, we'll get to the chat room today. I've been watching it. I've gone on there a couple of different times. We'll get to you. And also the text line is open at 254-339-1122. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. The city of Woodway, the mother-daughter dinner is coming up in early May. If you want to be involved in that, they had the incredibly successful father-daughter dance back earlier this year. I mean, it's sold out and they had a waiting list. It's going to be the same thing for the mother-daughter brunch. So now get to discoverwoodway.com. If you want to take your daughter to this event, then you can do that. And also, by the way, if you come to Waco then during the spring, right now, and also the summer, and you want to visit the various places, like there was just recently an amazing disc golf tournament. I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of participants up and down the Brazos River, along Brazos East Park, and all the way around Martin Luther King, MLK. And so they have to stay somewhere, right? And if you're looking for a hotel, even though there are hotels in Waco, there are 7 amongst what is the city of Woodway. So discoverwoodway.com can help you get in touch with those hotels if you need a room. Or maybe down the road, if you're looking to come to a football game, you may go, oh my God, that's not until the fall. There was a thread on Sikkim365.com about someone who was trying to get a hotel for a game this fall. And he said it was hard to find because of all the other things that people come to see and be a part of in Waco. It's discoverwoodway.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302. too.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental. Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive. It's a staple of the Waco economy. And you're about to approach this time of the year where you have the holidays, special gifts. It's not that you don't have that every single day. What are some of the things you have coming up?
You know, we kind of call ourselves the wedding ring store. We do all of our own custom work in-house. I've got 2 expert jewelers on staff every day. We can make anything from scratch. We kind of pride ourselves, probably 9 out of 10 every engagement ring we do is actually made custom to what the customer wants.
People look at that, oh my God, I can't afford it. I can't afford something like that. You've shown me examples that you could fit pretty much any budget.
It doesn't cost any more to custom make something. You still have gold, you still have diamonds, and you still have labor. Best thing about a custom piece is if you have any old jewelry or heirloom jewelry or something passed down from a grandma or somebody, we can take that jewelry and use it towards your wedding ring for the sentimental value, and then you've got the product, and then it's just a little bit of labor and a little bit of design on your part of what you actually want.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Alabama, one of their linemen, Evan Neal, very highly projected, maybe even the top 5 picks in the draft. I love this attitude. They were asking about whether he would play guard or maybe he goes, you can pretty much plug me in anywhere other than center, and I'll be able to come in and make an impact. So I like the fact that he's open-minded, and who knows? I mean, sometimes guys can even make that transition as well. They had Alabama Pro Day today, and all 32 teams. 31 he had Baylor, all 32 were at Alabama's Pro Day today.
Well, I think that, he's going to be a top 5 pick. He's as good as they come in the draft process at least. So I hope he goes somewhere it's gonna maximize him. I worry about poor Aiden Hutchinson probably going to Jacksonville.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Neal has visits already scheduled with the Jaguars, Giants, and Jets. Of course, there were all sorts of people there, as I mentioned, Alabama's Pro Day. And he is, without question, elite. If there was a lottery in the NFL, he would be a lottery pick.
Well, and I think that if I were the Jaguars, I know Aiden Hutchinson is really, really good, but my focus would be on maximizing Trevor Lawrence however I could early on. So Evan Neal would be my pick just out of, look, we need to fix what we did with Trevor Lawrence last year because Urban Meyer ran that into the rocks.
Yeah, I hope for his sake he doesn't go there and actually goes somewhere where they know what they're doing. That's what I hope for Evan Neal because I feel for anybody who gets drafted to Jacksonville. Doug Peterson's a good coach. Maybe he'll change some of that culture, but when the GM's the exact same and the ownership's the exact same, then I don't know why we're anticipating anything drastically different. When you hear the name Trent Baalke over and over and over again as being one of the issues, and yet – Urban Meyer, that's the guy. That's why everything's so screwed up. Oh, wait, so Jacksonville was like just really good before that? I mean, there were pockets of time, including recently in the last 5 years, but for the most part, they've been an expansion franchise in terms of play. Again, had their moments, the Brunell years early on or the playoff run just a couple years back. But yeah, I mean, that's not where I would want to go. That's for sure. I think, too, with Baylor fans, probably the last team they want to see anybody go to is the New York Jets right now after, Denzel Mims. And just it seems like Baylor guys get drafted, and it's not always to the best franchises. It's always to, like, Cleveland, dysfunctional Cleveland, or Jacksonville. Washington. Like, I mean, for God's sakes, can we just get a team, like a guy on the Patriots, some stability, something? Because – yeah, like Denzel Mims gets thrown to the Jets, and that's just a total dumpster fire the moment he arrives. Not that he's health matters because he hasn't been healthy or, just whatever has been the issue for him outside of health. But yeah, that's my only wish is just like can put these guys in some good actual landing spots where they're, not just in the center of dysfunction and already behind the eight ball.
I think I have a prediction for him. I think he gets traded during the draft.
Who?
Denzel Mims. Because he was a second-round draft pick a couple of years ago. They've clearly, drafted people to now play in front of him or signed people to play in front of them the Jets have. So they have different plans. They have a different coaching staff than the one that drafted him a couple years ago. So I would predict him getting traded day 3 of the draft. Denzel Mims will be a different team.
It is nuts that, you have some schools that they are so-and-so position and there have been some that have claimed that. But Baylor has had enough wide receivers get to the NFL who were elite, whether it was under the Art Briles regime and that offense or what Matt Rule did, and now with eventually Tyquan Thornton and the one that Baylor had this year, and it's just incredible that they strike out.
For one, you have a Corey Coleman who goes in the top of the draft. Where does he go? He goes to Cleveland.
No, you're right.
It's just like, are you serious? Like, can he not go to Green Bay? I mean, not that they don't have dysfunction as well, but geez Louise, of course it's Cleveland. Of all the teams, it was Cleveland. And not like new Cleveland, where they actually feel like they kind of got something going on. I'm talking about regular-ass Cleveland Browns that everybody laughs at. Hugh Jackson, Cleveland. Yeah, Hugh Jackson, Cleveland.
Regular-ass.
That mess. Yeah, and and quite frankly, going back to what you just said, though, that's on the Baylor wide receivers.
It is.
If they're 0 for 10 in success rate at wide receiver, that's not the NFL. That's the fact that these guys clearly aren't ready. One of the knocks I see on Denzel Mims is the route tree and, things like that. So I don't know. He's playing with fire. He's good enough and big enough I don't say good enough. He's talented enough and big enough and seems likable enough that somebody's going to, give him some chances. But, it's not a good look either to be, a relatively high draft pick and not make a dent on a team that stinks.
And the thing is if you look at some of the Baylor wide receivers, some of them have little bursts of success. Like Josh Gordon was fantastic, and then
if you count him,
and then his demons overtook him. Corey Coleman never really got going.
He didn't get out of Hard Knocks.
Kendall Wright was really good his first year and a half in the league, and then kind of got slowed by nagging injuries. Terrence Williams was good for the whole first contract with the Cowboys. And then after that,
he really was. 2 more names. Cotty B brought this up. Remember, he never got going. Ish Zamora and Katie Cannon.
Ish Zamora had character issues. If you'll remember the
dog and a freak guy, and then of course,
he's a freak.
Josh Gordon had the issues that were more than whatever teams he was with.
But Katie Cannon, he's in was some semi-pro league. I just saw him last weekend playing in a arena type league. It might have been the Arena League. I don't remember exactly, but he was playing for some arena franchise. And yeah, I mean, gets undrafted by the Cowboys. Is that right? Katie Cannon, undrafted signee, and then didn't really make of a dent. Ahmad Dixon, I know he's not a wide receiver, but, got to the league and pretty much, started butting heads right away. And so, yeah, I mean, some of it might just be some of these guys' personalities, but in particular with the wide receivers, I mean, they've had some great athletes, but you got to be better than a great athlete. Guess what? Texas has great athletes. A&M has great athletes. OU's got great athletes. And we're just talking about this region. And I could go on with 50 other teams that all have great athletes.
Yeah, so. You mentioned Jalen Hurd yesterday. Jalen Hurd's a guy who's I think played in one regular season game.
Yep.
So
injuries, and also here's back to when we were discussing a couple of notes about the United States soccer. U.S. soccer can get clinch a World Cup berth tonight in many ways, and then also the lasers. But a couple of comments. The only thing soccer does is ruin a good walk, and then soccer is horrendously boring. I'm not trying to act like I'm some sort of a fan, but I'll tell you this: you will not find a more passionate fan base than those who are true soccer fans, whether in Europe or others. And they are that no question. No question. It's like Brandon said, same Smokey, I'll watch a big match, but I'm not going to seek it out. No. And honestly, I saw that crawl about the U.S. soccer, and that's why I brought it up, because I knew they were going to play Costa Rica. I just didn't know if it was today or tomorrow. That's how much I'm paying attention.
Well, I mean, it's worth mentioning.
Absolutely.
Like briefly, but no, I'm not going to pretend to be some soccer aficionado. I mean, if we're going to talk soccer, let Jack get on here and do all that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's cool to, when the World Cup rolls around, that's something that will spark my interest somewhat. But am I going to sit there and watch it like I do the NCAA tournament and just watch whoever's on TV? No, probably not. I'm definitely not going to do that. But I know there are a lot of people that, they seek out that English pub in town and go watch the games there, and they want to go watch their adopted Premier League team or, whoever they've taken on as their team of choice. But yeah, I mean, there's a good crowd for it. There's also a lot of people that, clearly are not fans of it. That's why it's kind of been in the same sort of position of like, just get ready. It's going to explode. It's going to be the next big thing. All the kids are playing soccer in the youth leagues. They're not playing football anymore. And it's like, I don't know that we've seen a single dent from those comments, which have happened regularly for 3 decades. Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely more popular than it was as far as being played, maybe more popular than ever. I don't know, but yeah, it's not for everybody.
No.
Everybody's arriving in New Orleans. Final Four coming up this weekend. Villanova, Kansas, and, of course, North Carolina and Duke. I just saw a note where Kansas touched down in New Orleans.
There's another game other than North Carolina and Duke going on?
It's going to be it's going to be interesting with Villanova and Kansas. Villanova. I was listening to a basketball analyst on a podcast yesterday for a little bit. It wasn't our Terrence Oglesby, but they were talking about when you discuss blue bloods, there are blue bloods who are not right now currently living up to the standard. Indiana in basketball, among a couple of others. There's a bunch in football. We could go on and on. But Villanova is the opposite. They did win in the early 80s when they upset Georgetown with that great teams with John Thompson and all that. But they've won 2 of the last 4. One year there was no championship. Then Baylor last year. If they win this one, then you start to wonder what are the criteria, or what are or is the criteria of a blue blood?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is there a length of time you have to be a great, like UCLA, blue blood? But they haven't won a national title, and again, haven't won, but they've won like 12, 13 of them since 90-something, right?
Yeah, but I think
Kansas has been a while.
If you have
one,
if you have one national title, it has to be within like Minnesota can't be a blue blood in football because they won the national championship
in the 50s.
In the 50s.
You can't have just one, in my opinion. Either.
But like if you've won one national championship within a decade, then you are currently in lower tier blue blood status.
What about the older version blue bloods? Indiana basketball, Nebraska football.
Yeah. Indiana is going to be a blue blood in basketball. Mostly because the same reason that Texas is a blue blood in football, because it is what they care about the most. Okay. And even though they have not been elite, they can still, like at any moment, they could turn around and people will forget about the time that they weren't. Their fans will forget about all of it. Like it'll just be gone. And so that's what keeps them there. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, all these schools here will always be blue bloods because they're always going to be There's not going to be long gaps between their relative, down times.
But go ahead, Craig.
It's a fun club where you don't let really anybody in and you get to stay no matter how good you actually are doing. That's a fun club. It's almost like that's kind of the way college sports is set up, huh? Where it's just rigged towards, not the championships are rigged towards teams, but it's like if you were a blue blood 40 years ago, you're still considered that. But we're sitting here questioning if Villanova, who's won 2 of the last 4 titles, is a blue blood compared to Indiana. Like Indiana just by default, and I know they won a ton of titles, and that's probably not the best example, but that's what it's a very exclusive club that gets like no new invitations unless Clemson just breaks the door down. And even then, it's not like they replace somebody. The others just, I know it's been 50 years, but we won 4 in 1952 or, through 57. Well, actually, they would have been the Oklahoma teams, I think, but you know what I'm saying.
But no, David Moon in the chat room says, KU still a blue blood, no title in the last 14 years. Yes, because they've dominated their conference. Yeah, they won and the tournament's hard to win, man. It's really, they've been to Final Fours. I mean, so it's not like they haven't been back to a Final Four. They were in the Final Four a few years ago.
You just took I responded to him, Paul.
Yeah, no,
they've won a dozen Big 12 regular season championships during those 14 years. Some failures, yes, in the tournament. Anyone who's got high expectations, but they've also been to Final Fours. You can get back in and put yourself on the doorstep. Yeah. You can keep that streak alive.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're a blue blood. Like, first of all, Kansas, this is the thing that I think is funny about this Final Four is it's got the school that actually invented basketball in it and the 2 schools that think they did in Duke and North Carolina. But yeah, Kansas, I mean, they like Dr. James Naismith, Kansas, like that's how basketball they are. And they have in every era of basketball, they've done something great. Wilt freaking Chamberlain went to Kansas. I mean, like every era of basketball, Kansas has done something great. So yes, you're a blue blood. Yeah, it's been 14 years since they won, but it's not like they're that far off.
Are you trying to get a warm dinner tonight?
I mean,
you're doing a good job.
Yeah. Hey, again, I had to. There was only one way I could answer that question.
Yeah, I know.
Only one way I could, but I'm not saying it. I would say it if I never even met Amanda. I would because it's. Like they are who they are. They don't lose home games.
Argue. Like anybody arguing that Kansas is not a blue blood, it's not even like
this is a dumb. Lose home games.
It's a dumb conversation.
Ever.
It's a dumb conversation.
And by the way, they won one in '88 when they had Danny Manning. In fact, Chris just brought this up and shocked a really good Oklahoma team. Really good Oklahoma team.
Let's put it this way: if Texas is a football blue blood, then Kansas is sure as hell a basketball blue blood.
They're a double diamond.
Yeah, come on now. Come on.
Yeah. All right, we'll have a guest. This is the book. Martin Moore gave this to us. He was at the Railhead Smokehouse Barbecue appearance during the tournament up in Fort Worth. A Coach's Guide to Winning. You can't defeat nature. He wrote the book. We're going to have him on, and it's very complicated if you want to get into analytics and muscles and energy and all that. But one of the reasons he wrote the book, and I'm going to read it when we get back, was when we discussed, and it got a lot of hits, and even a lot of UT fans commented that they couldn't argue, and that was appreciative, about the culture of certain programs and why some win and why some don't, whether they have the elite talent or not. And then also brought up a comment about the Baylor women's basketball team that just suffocated in their game against South Dakota on their home court when they looked like they were frozen in mud or stuck in mud. So we're going to come back and let him kind of explain the book about many things of why teams don't meet expectations. It's pretty complicated, but I'm going to let him, and Paul's the one that set up the interview, kind of explain a little bit of that to you for sports fans as well. Sometimes when, and I'm going to use this as sometimes when you hear the word choke, what happens? The moment's too big for you. You're not ready for the pressure. Sometimes, it's just the other team has incredible momentum. And what North Carolina almost did to Baylor was they almost choked their guts out, no matter the circumstances with Manic and all the other things that went with it. But you can freeze up. Golfers do it. Anyone does it. Humans do it. So we'll have Martin Moore join us today in the next segment. With that, this is Sikkim 365 Radio. Ideal MRI is a place where you could save hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, which means if you save a few of the hundreds of dollars, you might save $1,000 or more. The average MRI costs $1,100. Ideal MRI in the Central Texas Marketplace in Waco, $497 every single time. Not one day. It's not like buy one, get two free. It's not like $497 to get you to come back for another one and it's $1,500. $497 every single time. for an MRI on whatever muscle, ligament, or whatever you need to have a picture taken for evidence for your doctor to know what hurts so much, whether it's an orthopedic surgeon or somebody else. They also are doing a lot of MRIs of late on the abdomen. They did one for me. They're doing that for those who want to make sure, just in case there's a concern about your age, your PSA count when it comes to prostate cancer as well, or just finding something there that shouldn't be there. It's IdealMRI.com with Dr. Rob Maxey and his great staff. They serve you. They will also do MRIs at hours that otherwise most of the time not available elsewhere. They will make sure they help around, well, get an appointment around your schedule. In the Central Texas Marketplace, a title sponsor of this show, IdealMRI.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Cars priced right both day and night. And Richard Car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. At Richard Car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. At Richard Car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. At Richard Car in Waco, Texas.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
By the way, a couple of the chat room comments on the Blue Blood and Chris Armstrong. I put UCLA, Kentucky, slightly above Kansas. UCLA, according, they did win 10 of 11. are 10 of 12 national titles under Wooden, and that alone, of course, is something that, you're just not going to see that. UConn and women's basketball was in that neighborhood, but I know there's other sports, Arkansas and track and field. I know you'll get to that, but it's pretty amazing sometimes the dynasties we have over the years. We met Martin Moore, actually before we met him, at Railhouse Smokehouse Barbecue in Fort Worth before the weekend of the NCAA tournament. He contacted us because we had a segment about University of Texas athletics, the culture that sometimes is maybe why they have not been as successful. He wrote this to us, and I'm going to paraphrase it, not go through the whole thing. I just watched and enjoyed your segment on UT Longhorn culture. I've studied up close the physiological factors involved in winning consistently since 1980. No doubt the quality of the players you recruit is the prime factor. However, the mistakes made by coaches during weekly preparation in regards to human physiology can significantly change a team's ability to play well. If the knowledge and the measurement of specific physiological factors is not known, mistakes will be made, upsets will turn into slumps, followed by underachieving seasons, and on in the book called You Can't Defeat Nature, written by Martin Moore, A Coach's Guide to Winning. Martin, thanks, first of all, when you reached out to us. It was great to meet you in Fort Worth as well. And you also mentioned when Baylor's women lost at home to South Dakota, they kind of almost seemed like they suffocated a little bit, and mentioned them as well. When did you get interested in finding all of this out?
Well, I have a long history with many different sports teams, all the way back to late 70s with the University of Southern California, and worked with primarily football and basketball, some baseball. And I've been in a lot of situations where I've seen the built-in anxiety of playing a tough opponent, or even the other direction where you're playing somebody early in the year that should be an easy win, and the coaches are basically trying to get their team's attention, so they practice real hard. And what happens then is anybody that's looked at weights knows if you experience exercise-induced muscle damage, you're not going to be the same person when you go into the competition. And the force production of your muscular system is going to be less. There's a lot of research out there that indicates when that happens, that linear speed and agility suffers, and there may even be some good evidence that fine motor movement, like shooting a basketball, throwing a football, has problems then as well.
The crux of your book is, towards the end is pointed towards mostly youth coaches, so that these habits can get, developed early for coaches and for players. But at the higher levels, do you think that coaches that break from the norm of focusing on where can our guys be at their max peak physically is where they kind of go awry?
Well, the first third of the book is a wake-up call for coaches at the highest levels that have a full array of staff, but they're in charge of how the practices go. And there's a whole industry now of businesses like Catapult or Omega Wave, things like that are trying to help coaches out. But in the final analysis, if you get into the middle of a practice and it drags on with a lot of vigorous activity that was not planned for one reason or another, then it's too late to make the change. A lot of the research with the exercise-induced muscle damage shows that it peaks at 48 hours after the practice or the competition that caused it. So that means if you're a football team on a Thursday and you overdo it, or if you're a basketball team probably on a Friday for a Saturday game and you get a little anxious, the players don't quite get it right the first time, and you stay out there too long with vigorous activity, there's a real specific timeline that isn't really known. We developed this back in the 90s and sat on it for 30 years. Several coaches used it with great success, but as I'm getting older, I wanted to get it in print so that everybody can have a look at it.
What would you say the biggest mistake people make inside of a practice like that is? Like making them run more, like because it's discipline or whatever?
Yeah, I would say let's take the Baylor South Dakota game, for instance, and again, not being on the sidelines, I can't say this happened for sure in that one instance, but I've seen it happen before where the coach is going to work for a long period of time the day before the game on what they're going to face, what's the defense going to be like, what are we going to do on offense, and they stay out there too long. And as you can read in the book, 17 minutes of vigorous activity is where we found in our research where we never won a game when we faced good opponents if we went that high. So the second year of the research that we did it, the coaches actually completely changed their practice style, and we never went longer than 15 minutes with vigorous activity the day before the game. I was on the sidelines with a clipboard and a stopwatch, and the coach would look at me, and when I said, "That's it, you're there," he would immediately say free throws, and our winning percentage was great, as you can read in the book.
I saw one paragraph, and I was reading it as well. You had lunch or something with Hudson Houck, a former Cowboys offensive line coach. I guess he was at USC at the time or wherever, about knee braces. There are some offensive line coaches that just say everybody has to wear them no matter what, and there are some that don't like any of that being worn. What was his reaction when you asked him when they first were introduced by somebody with the Raiders?
Yeah, well, the trainer for the Raiders, George Anderson, had put this knee brace together, and it was very simple, very easy to. We put it on with tape, and Hudson had his center from 1979 that wore him on both legs. Well, in the fall of 1980, in one of our two-a-day scrimmages, we lost two important linemen within about 10 minutes of each other with medial collateral ligament injuries, and so I went and had some lunch with Hudson, and I said, "Do you think that your center, Chris Foote, had problems wearing these braces? Did it cut back on his performance?" And he said, "Absolutely not." So we talked about putting his whole line in it, and so I had him go to my boss, the head trainer, Jack Ward, and they talked about it. Got the braces in, put them on offensive line, then defensive line, then linebackers, and I really can't remember an MCL injury after we did that. Well, the following year, we started getting calls from other colleges, and the rest is pretty much history. It's tough to watch a game on television now without all the offensive linemen and some of the defensive linemen wearing the knee braces now. So we really changed the uniform of college football in 1980.
One of the things I found interesting was the way that you look at the 36 hours before the game is the most key time. Not just physically, but mentally, but all the things that go into that 36 hours. Can you get into that a little bit?
Well, when we were at UWM, we didn't have our players stay in hotels, but that was the era of landlines. So we would call them at midnight and make sure they were in the room, so we knew that that's the best we could do at getting them some rest. Once in a while, the coaches would visit them. On the road, it wasn't a problem. We made sure that we ate in a similar fashion within that 36-hour time period, and it didn't matter whether we were going to have a pregame meal for breakfast and then a light lunch or vice versa. We had supplements that we would use so that at every 6, 4, and 2 hours prior to the game, they were receiving nutrition. After practices, we supplemented them with 500 calories of carbohydrate so that their muscle glycogen stores would be maximally replenished. So basically, we did not leave anything to chance. We wanted to make sure that there was a balance between preparing with technique and theory for the coaches, but also physiology for the players. And we really had some some great success doing that.
When you contacted us, it was about a segment we were discussing with the University of Texas. They have all the money. They have all the alums you'd ever want. They have a great city most people like where they're located. And the facilities, of course, are constantly being upgraded. But there are a lot of, I guess in recent years, the last 10, 15, 20 years, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of underachieving. Why?
It's hard to understand, isn't it? But I think coaches don't really completely understand what they do to their athletes during the course of a practice week a lot of times. There's 3 ways to create this exercise-induced muscle damage, and 2 of them are mechanical, and that's through collisions and decelerating when you're running, landing when you're jumping, all those things. But there's a 3rd way, which is a metabolic exercise-induced muscle damage, and you can be out on the field with helmets and shorts on, not hitting anybody, but if there's a lot of activity and it's vigorous in nature so that you're using muscle glycogen, you can create muscle damage that way too. So all 3 of those ways to create the damage have to be considered. And sometimes I think coaches just get to the point to where they're so focused on technique and theory and trying to do everything that they can do to make sure their team has an advantage that they actually are diminishing the players they actually have. I've talked to a coach last year, and I want to know who's on the field. Is it the guy that you recruited and have been training for 2 years, or is it somebody that's running 0.2 of a second slower and they're 40 during the competition because what you did in the practice?
Mm-hmm.
And that's only 5% change in their 40 time. If a guy's running a 4.5 when he's rested and healthy, but now he's tired, has dead legs, and he's running a 4.7-2.5, then that's a big difference in, DBs are having the receivers run by them. Linebackers, defensive linemen don't always tackle well. Offensive linemen don't move their feet as well. And basically, if you've been around it a lot, you can recognize it, even though you don't know exactly, you weren't there on the field for the last 7 days. You can recognize it. And you hear what the coaches say. They talk about things that can't be measured very well, like, well, the other team wanted it worse than we did, or they were mentally more prepared to play, or they looked a lot quicker. You hear those things in post-game comments, and you know exactly what's going on if you've been attuned to this problem that goes on.
There's the cover of the book. You can go online. Martin was nice enough to send us some copies as well, A Coach's Guide to Winning. You Can't Defeat Nature, and it is very specific. It gets into a lot of the breaking down of the body, the muscles, whatever else, as well as he mentioned, endurance, cardio, whatever, and strength. And very, very well done. Martin, it was great to see you. First of all, thanks for coming out and supporting us at Railhead Smokehouse Barbecue. You were there, and it was great to see you there. Thank you for your time, and thanks for also sharing the book and the insight as well.
Well, you're welcome. I always enjoy the show, and keep up the good work. You got a great ensemble there.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that so much. Martin Moore, you can email if you want. I don't think he's going to mind me saying that. lockmtm@gmail.com if you are interested in more Martin Moore. Again, the book, You Can't Defeat Nature.
Yeah, I need to peruse through it. I got my copy. I know exactly where it's sitting. Was finishing another book and didn't know we were going to have him on today, but I'll definitely check it out. Very interesting, especially sports science, sports conditioning, all that whole – there's various lanes you can go down, but you kind of lump them all together just in general. And that whole side of the game of the sports has been fascinating to see evolve.
And it's written so that anybody can pick this thing up and not and I'd be like, well, I don't know what adipose tissue is. It's all it's just fat. But
speaking of, it's a great book. Glad you set him up. I'm glad again Martin came out along with many others. It was amazing the support we had as well. from everybody at Railhead Smokehouse Barbecue in Fort Worth during the weekend of the first weekend of the tournament. And then also Phil Venzer, who's in Vegas, he's on the chat room today, and I kind of...
Or is he in Reno?
Reno, maybe he's in Reno. Same thing. Yeah. He sent this book. I gave it to Craig, I gave it to Paul, and I have mine as well. We all are thrilled. They're both historians. I love anything military. A Spy in the Sky, photographic reconnaissance Spitfire pilot in World War II, Kenneth B. Johnson. Phil Venzer is the one that sent us this book. If you're interested, just want to say thanks to Phil, who joins the show a lot when it comes to the chat room as well.
Yeah, this one's sitting up on my desk right now. It's next up in the rotation. I'm very, very interested. Some of the best books recently I've read are about World War II.
World War II is fascinating.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, just the characters, the locations, the different battles, the different storylines. And truly a world war. I mean, not one of these where we're like, hey, go look at Ukraine. Look what's going on over there. Like, no, literally, like the entire world basically had an investment in what was going on during that time period. But yeah, I have this on my desk as well, and I love reading about World War II. I always have. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking this out.
It's interesting with Aranda and how he looks at things and the way things are with college athletics. And it's not that Kaz Kazadi or others, Corey Campbell, who's with Carolina now, the strength and conditioning, Jeremy Scott, and now, of course, with Vic Valoria, that they probably picked this up and they can digest this in seconds. Everything is in here with what they do, strength and conditioning. Everybody, for the most part, even though some have different motivational styles or tactics or exercises, they just chew this up.
But kind of the crux of this is, coaches have to be careful about letting their emotions dictate what practice is. Practice needs to be almost scientifically exact.
We got whooped. We need to go out there and grind for 3 straight hours and just get dirty and physical and get tougher. Yeah.
Well, and there are different ways to achieve that same thing within your structure. But those things like, okay, well, you practiced really hard this week. Well, now you might be 20% more tired than you would have been had you done it the other way, and you might lose the game because you practiced too hard. And look, practice has changed immensely in the last decade on all levels of
maybe longer than that, because Bill Walsh in San Francisco kind of, I don't know if they were the first, but they kind of went to a lot of the no contact and more reps than anything else, and that was back in the 80s.
I mean, look, Smokey, you were at the first Cowboys Camp Cupcake, and it was right after Bill Parcells and Wade Phillips took over, and that team at a Camp Cupcake was maybe the best Cowboys team of the last 25 years.
09?
07.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parcells was not. No,
that was his first year of not being the coach. That was Wade Phillips' first year. They were fantastic for mostly. T.O. Yeah. Everyone was fantastic. Romo. Now, the problem with Wade Phillips is that Wade Phillips' accountability practices don't last for very long as the head coach. He's too nice of a guy, and that's proven out over the world.
You can never be too nice of a guy. You mean that at a football coach?
Yeah, okay. I mean, he's just he's Uncle Wade, and I think when you already have Uncle Jerry running the team, I mean that's just too much.
Yeah. No, there's no question. Okay. We had a little bit of that discussion about Blue Bloods. I'm going to throw this out. The chat room, you can do it. A couple of you already have. I'm going to name 5 teams, and I know there's just a couple of other schools that could be a part of this, and I know I'm missing somebody else as well. Among these 5, take one out. One out, not 2, and add somebody. These 5 names, UCLA, Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, Duke. Who doesn't belong? One name comes out of that group, and you can argue about it all you want. Hold on. I'm not including Indiana. I'm not including Syracuse. They can be a part of the conversation. But again, but of those 5, who doesn't belong?
UCLA.
And I wouldn't put Syracuse hasn't won the new conference they're in since they've been in it. Not even close.
You guys would take out UCLA.
I would say UCLA because it's been a long time.
The majority of their titles are 50 years old at this point. They won in 94. That's great, but that was the last time. I know they played in some other big games, but I mean, in comparison to those other 4 have won one, if not multiple titles in that time period and been consistently, in the mix for the most part. I know all of them have kind of had their moments where they go up and down. But like, if the question is all-time greatest, then no, UCLA's in there. But if we're talking about current right now Blue Bloods compared to those other four, yeah, I got to take UCLA out.
Some good responses already.
Yeah, and UCLA deserves credit for doing some things that some people were too.
This is gun to head. You have to make a choice. I'm not trying to knock UCLA.
Back in the 60s and 70s. But, look, they had Lou Alcindor when half the schools in the country wouldn't even talk to him.
That's true.
So, like, you have Kareem, and half the schools are like, no, we won't even talk to him. You're like, all right, he's one of the best basketball players ever. You still in your bigotry and enjoy not winning, but
we have rules.
But I do say UCLA. It's been since 1994.
We have rules, and here's like, for example, Aaron goes 6 traditional Blue Bloods. No, this is just the game here. 5 names we mentioned: UCLA, Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, and North Carolina. Who doesn't belong? And everyone, there's no right answer. You can argue all you want.
Yeah, there is. It's UCLA.
But I mean, like, you need to specify the question as well.
All-time Blue Blood.
All-time? Well, see, then that changes my...
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I just said it. All-time Blue Blood.
Okay, well, then I'm going to have to rethink that, and I don't know who I would take. I mean... I don't know. I'd have to go look at actual numbers to parse through whether it's Duke or whether it's
I would
Kansas.
Think if you did all time Blue Blood, then Duke has a good chance of being eliminated.
Yeah, because Duke's only been good under one.
In the 80s, late 70s, they made a run, right? And then after that, of course, Coach K did what he did, which is insane.
Duke is a blue blood because of Coach K.
Right. Yeah.
UCLA, all those other ones that you mentioned, have different coaches that have made them blue bloods, or have won titles with different coaches. Now, most of UCLA's are under Wooden, but they have another coach who's won titles. Kansas has multiple coaches won titles. Kentucky has multiple coaches who won titles. North Carolina, every single coach. Well, I mean, not everyone, but they've had multiple coaches. Roy won a title. Dean won a title. They won before. They won titles. So,
and now you have a young man, Hubert Davis, is on the doorstep of playing for a championship as well. Aaron Anderson, UCLA is so overrated. If you look at the historical perspective, no. If you look at currently over the last 25 years or so, yes.
Well, I have to remind myself to include them in the basketball Blue Bloods if we're talking like right now, modern day.
That's why I brought up Syracuse.
That's right. They're obviously the Wooden years. You've got to mention them. They're like Alabama in that regard, almost in a way, or like the Bud Wilkinson years at Oklahoma type of run, just crazy success. But, yeah, I do kind of have to remind myself of they do deserve to be in there with Duke and Kentucky and North Carolina and all that. Of course they do. But, yeah, in terms of right now, modern day impact and all of that, they'd be the one out in that group for me.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why in football, modern day Blue Bloods, who have also the tradition of history and Blue Blood history, that separates. And then all of a sudden, Nebraska or even Texas, 05 is when they won with Vince Young. It was 30 years prior to that. You have some that are all-time Blue Bloods, but current modern day, the last 25 years, it would change a little bit. 254-339-1122, absolutely. They won it in 80 or whatever it was, and then, of course, they've had a great run. Even last year's team was really good, even despite the fact they couldn't score.
I thought Georgia was 81. Splitting here. Yeah. Okay.
Clemson beat Nebraska is 81.
Gotcha.
With Danny Ford, I believe, was their head coach the year after Herschel in 1980. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They want to get you into a new or even a used vehicle today. Bottom line is they just want to get you into a vehicle that you are going to love, and they've got a lot of great options right now. It's chaos at dealerships, and really more so for people across the country who are trying to get a vehicle. I mean, there's the microchip shortage, there's just the economy, there's just limited options, in particular because of the microchip shortage. But March means that Richard Carr has been in business for 23 years. In those 23 years, they've sold the best trucks and cars on the road, and they have first-class vehicles that you can trust. They want to thank Waco and Central Texas for their support over the years and look forward to many more to come. And right now, if you are one of those people I'm referring to that's looking for a new car or truck, they've got new GMC trucks. They've also got new GMC, Cadillac, and Buick SUVs steadily arriving as well. Each and every week, they're getting new vehicles arriving on the lot. So get on their inbound vehicle list right now. You can do that by calling them up or emailing the dealership. Tell them you want to get on that inbound vehicle list, and that means you can get your new car or truck as soon as they arrive. And for qualified buyers, you can buy a truck now and get 0% financing for 72 months on most GMC vehicles and Buick SUVs. And if you are sitting out there, you got summer vacation plans. Maybe you and the girlfriend or the boyfriend are going to the beach. Maybe you and the family are going up to the amusement park, whatever the case may be. You want to be cool, confident, and comfortable in your ride when you're traveling long distances. So with summer vacation approaching, check out the 11 different SUV models to choose from at Richard Carr that also come with dozens of trim options. So not endless options, but pretty close to it. Richard Carr, a one-stop shop to find that perfect SUV for your needs and that perfect SUV for your family this summer. And if you don't want to buy new, as I mentioned, they've also got premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All of them have undergone a 172-point inspection, and 100% credit approval is always the goal with their over 10 lenders who will do what it takes to get you in a car today. It's anniversary month at Richard Carr. Trust the good local people you can count on. 23 years in Central Texas. Proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to richardcarr.com today or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Ram Truck Month is here, and it's all about the championship drive as our hometown teams march towards another exciting championship drive. And so can you in your new vehicle from Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Waco. Shop for power, performance, and reliability with the brands that bring you what you want to drive. Come in today and see our selection of new 2022 trucks, SUVs, and cars. It's time to take home the trophy from Allen Samuels in Waco. Shop the huge inventory of new car and truck inventory in stock today.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Preston Ebner checking in for Smith. Ebner split wide left. Chapin looking up top. He's looking for Ebner. Ebner's open. He has it. Touchdown Bears. A 61-yard score.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing his time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
You know that today at Pro Day.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Today at Pro Day, we've mentioned Terrell Bernard and Jalen Petrie, among others, Treston Ebner. We had Petrie, a couple of comments, 2 or 3 minutes with him. Abram Smith, Taekwon, all these names, and mentioned John Lovett. Among those that needed to kind of like get attention, Raleigh Tejada ran well in his 40, and you would expect that, but it's nice that he was able to post a very, very low 4.4. He also weighed 191 pounds, and I think at times you can look at Raleigh around some of the other bodies around him. He's bulked up to 191. And then Kalen Barnes did quite a bit. Of course, we had talked about him with that bowl game he was in, the All-Star game in Vegas, and then also spoke with him through his agent as well. There's another couple of guys, that really, I don't know, they may get picked up, that need at least to have somebody see them. Who knows, can be invited as a non-drafted free agent after the draft is over. And you hope all of them have a chance to be in a camp at some point. That's why John Lovett was here, because he disappeared last year. And he didn't play much the year before because he didn't play much and then, of course, got hurt, and then he left.
Yeah, I was going to say he disappeared because he went to Penn State. That's where he disappeared to. He disappeared to Happy Valley.
That's exactly why I brought it up, yeah.
Yeah. I guess... Yeah, I mean, it's a good opportunity for Lovett. I mean, I guess where I'm confused is why he didn't just do the Penn State Pro Day.
Maybe
that's what I'm confused by.
Maybe he got up to Penn State, and I'm not saying this. He's from that area in that Northeast. Just felt like it was more comfortable coming down, getting away from there, and doing the Pro Day here. Or maybe the schedule fit. He could do it here, not at Penn State, or I don't know. Maybe they didn't
I didn't keep track of their pro day, so I'll look and see if he even participated. I have no idea, and yeah, maybe that speaks to it. Just I don't know, but it certainly speaks well of Baylor that he came back down here and he didn't even play for Dave Aranda. Mm-hmm. He played for Matt Rule and was gone pretty quickly after the season was over. Hell, I don't even know if Dave Aranda was hired. No, I don't think he probably even was when John Lovett
left immediately after the 20.
2 years ago.
No. 2020. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. 2 years ago. It was a COVID year.
Yeah, because he played last year at Penn State.
And there was the thought about and there was a story that he and Ebner had cleaned out their locker, and of course Ebner stayed and then turned out to be really, really good for them. And then Lovett just, he got hurt. He got hit on the sideline soon after all that went down and got knocked out of the game, never saw him again, and then he was gone. And I understood why he went to Penn State. It seemed like that'd be a pretty good match. He's close to that area. They may know him. He knows them. But, again, whether he was at Pro Day for Penn State or not, I don't know.
Doesn't look like it, no. The last tweet I see mentioning Penn State and John Lovett was from their bowl game, and he was not present. So there you go. So, yeah, I have no idea on that, but, that's interesting that he was here, and that's good that he was here. It's great they still have a relationship, even though it is a little bit different in terms of the staffs. And, I think he clearly knew some NFL scouts based on him dapping up a couple of guys that I saw. Who knows where that relationship is, but that can't hurt his chances. And he's a good, solid, muscular, fast kid. So even though the results weren't there last year, he did put some some film out there when he was at Baylor for 3 years and did well. So, good luck to him. Giancarlo Valentine's another guy who, just wanted the opportunity. Raleigh Tejada just wanted the opportunity. And so
Zeke
who knows?
Brown.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the NFL. There was the XFL and the CFL and, those leagues as well. So that's definitely, some options for those guys.
We have some breaking news. Armstrong, I'm going to send this to you.
Sent it to him.
Okay. So we had Kendall Brown on earlier. Just had Scotty B, our good friend, basically our beat reporter for everything Baylor, that Kendall Brown had made the decision earlier with an interview today that he was going to enter the draft, and he joined us today at 4 o'clock. Here is the latest decision on Baylor men's basketball. James Akinjo. There were thoughts that he could come back. There was also a little push and like a give and take. I've declared to pursue my dream and enter the NBA draft. He also apparently has planned to hire an agent. So that piece is settled. Kendall Brown, James Akinjo, Jeremy Sohan next in line, or Matthew Meyer.
Yeah, and when you look at it, James Akinjo leaving, while it would have been, an embarrassment of riches for Baylor to get him back, opens up more for LJ Cryer, opens up more for Keontae George, opens up more for Adam Flagler and the guards they do have coming back next year. So that's opportunity and probably lends weight to more weight to LJ Cryer coming back because there's more basketballs to go around now that James Akinjo is off to the NBA.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, we discussed this a little bit last week, a little bit of the future of Baylor with LJ Cryer and some of the other guards and who was coming in. Keontae George, LJ Cryer gets healthy, and of course Langston Love coming off the knee injury gets healthy, among others. That were there enough basketballs to go around? James Akinjo for this team this year, although at times was criticized for handling the ball a little bit too much, was unbelievable for them, for this team this year, especially with the injuries they had. But he moves on. He decides he's going to turn pro because he had the option to come back as well.
Yeah. And, like we heard Alvin Brooks say yesterday, when they were at full strength, after that TCU game, they were undefeated. And then halfway through the TCU game from then on, for 10 weeks, they were not at full strength again. And that was the one right there. It was the TCU game was where Jeremy Sohan and James Akinjo both got banged up in that game.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what his stock is. I don't follow the NBA draft hardly as closely as I do the NFL draft. And we've got way longer to wait now for the NBA draft as well. We got several months to go here, or I guess not several, but you've got a few months to go.
It's in July, right?
Yeah, so we got a little while to go. But yeah, I'm not surprised by this in any way. I just kind of, and it's not one of those like I'm going to protect my feelings by just assuming everything's going to go wrong and then, it goes right and I'm happy and surprised by it. I just figured James Akinjo was gone. I was just kind of just reading tea leaves and just my assumption. I assumed Jeremy Sohan's probably going to be gone, and I figured Kendall Brown would be gone. So 2 for 3 so far, and we'll see what Sohan does. But, yeah, I was just kind of banking on him probably, and he's moved around so much. He's been on, 3 different college rosters?
Georgetown, Arizona, Baylor.
He's been at 3 different colleges, so, he's probably ready to go off and do something different and make some money and all that.
He can, and here's the thing. He's a point guard who can drive and score in addition to, he needs to probably get better at distributing, but he's still pretty good at that. But he can drive and score. He has that great little teardrop shot that he has. His jump shot is really good. He can penetrate. He can do all those things that you want offensively. So, and he's a good defensive player as well. So, yeah, he's an NBA. James Akinjo's an NBA player. I don't know where the NBA draft after the first about 18 picks, just outside the lottery, is really hard because once you get outside the lottery and you start talking about non-guaranteed contracts, then it stops necessarily being about who might be the most accomplished guy. Really, then, the top of the lottery is kind of the intersection of most accomplished plus most talented, but the bottom part of it is not necessarily most accomplished. It might be most talented that you can get right now.
Mark Cuban drafted Satnam Singh in the second round of the NBA draft. Satnam Singh. You talk about total flyer because he's 7'4" tall and really has nothing else to show for it. But hey, this freakazoid may be able to get turned into a player. Let's just imagine somebody just doing that in the second round. Let's draft Laquan McGowan. he doesn't really particularly fit anything, but man, he's huge and he's big, and let's just see. And that's, the NBA draft is kind of wild like that, where it is truly, once you get past the lottery, like, there's late first round picks that aren't even necessarily guaranteed to make their teams. It's crazy.
Yeah, and now the way that basketball is set up, not only with the G League but with international play taking the step up that it has, you can have other people do your developmental work for you. There's Royce O'Neal is a great example of that. Go overseas for a little bit, G League for a little bit. Now you're one of the better players on a really good Utah Jazz team. So,
well, and the good news, Baylor's staff is set, and now, with what you have coming in, what you have coming back, those who have been injured, L.J. Cryer and also Langston Love, the entrance of Keontae George, among others, guess what? The transfer portal is open with point guards, and you got to go find one. If, in fact, you think you need one, and I think they do, someone who's experienced, and who wouldn't want to come run this team with all the weapons around whoever that will be.
Well, good for them is that they've got recent success, because I think most every team in the country is looking for point guards based on the transfer portal. So that's going to be a fight to see who can actually, pull guys out of there and land guys. But fortunately for Baylor, I'm not too worried about that. I mean, they're an appealing program right now. Certainly more appealing than the majority of other teams out there. And outside of that, they don't have a whole – they've got questions, don't get me wrong, but they got far less questions than most other teams out there as far as next year goes, after losing potentially 3 guys to the NBA draft early.
And Scott and staff are pretty undefeated in finding point guards that are effective out of the transfer portal, going back 8, 9, 10 years now. So they have – I cannot think of a player outside of Al Freeman who went to NC State and had a good year.
Yep.
And that was kind of both the sides of that was mutually beneficial. Al had kind of hit his peak with where he was going to be at Baylor, especially the style of play that they had at the time. But outside, and Al Freeman, when he left, that's the only one who kind of got better. But you talk about guys like Deuce Bello and
went to Missouri.
He's always the guy that's mentioned.
Yeah, but they don't lose a lot of guys to the transfer portal either. Dane Danger left, and we'll see how
John
that
Jacobs
goes.
made that. That was what he said.
But they don't they get out way more than they put in. So Scott Drew's kind of like the Warren Buffett of the transfer portal.
John Jacobs said yesterday he expected this team to continue their streak of keeping who they have. And yes, he also admitted that there were some who would make decisions on going to the next level. We knew that meant Kendall Brown or Jeremy Sohan, most likely a Matthew Meyer. But the James Akinjo one was probably further down the list as far as the one that was at top of mind, although his future was going to be
it makes more sense than 2 freshmen going, honestly, on the surface of it. He's more accomplished than either of those 2 guys, although potential is, again, like we've talked about, the NBA is much more on what can you be 3 years from now than what can you be in the rookie years, where the NFL, I think people, if you look at it like the NFL, if you're picked in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft, you better at least contribute on special teams, at the very least. If you're a top 2-round pick now, they expect you to start by the 4th or 5th game of your first season.
So Baylor will now they have that in front of them. The good news, you get these things answered quickly. Now you start working, as I believe might have been Jared Nunez who said this to us yesterday about, and also Jacobs and Brooks, was that April is when you win championships. In football, you hear about recruiting, national signing day, whatever. But in basketball, with the transfer portal, this is when you go find whoever you don't have and you try to add them to the team. So next year's guards include Langston Love, includes L.J. Cryer, Dale Bonner, Keontae George, and who am I missing? I forgot who the other guard was. Another guard that I'm missing. So that's James Akinjo. I know that at times I would get into these little back and forth on Twitter. Where would they have been without him? I don't even know the answer. And yes, at times there were frustrations with how much he controlled the dribble and how they got stagnant at times. But he also was overall their best player, and also one reason he was named as an All-American as well. When we come back, 5:30, John Machota covers the Cowboys. Jerry Jones, for the first time this week, as we discussed yesterday, talked to people, media. First time in a long time. John McClain had some thoughts on that. John Machota next on Sikkim 365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. Shop for power, performance, reliability with their 2022 Ram Lone Star Quad Cab. Total values of $8,500, or get $3,000 in bonus cash and 2.9% financing for 72 months. First responders, an extra $500 cash. Also, check out the 2022 Wagoneer Series 2 or 3. Both of them are spectacular vehicles. I've driven the Series 2. I've been inside the Series 3. My goodness, how good can that be? It's amazing. And the 2.9% for 72 months plus $1,500 in bonus cash. First responders, an extra $500 savings. The Jeep Grand Cherokee L, the Wagoneer, some of the newest styles, sure to deliver style, dependability, and a whole lot more for your family, including incredible safety. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, their lot has used pre-owned, and of course a lot of them don't. And also, of course, they have their new cars as well, and a staff led by Ted Teague. Tell them I sent you. 340 in the east of 84 in Waco.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show. Necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
We will hear from John Machota momentarily. TheAthletic.com covers the Cowboys, the NFL owners' meetings, everyone kind of getting all lathered up because people were talking, including Jerry. John Machota, of course, has to follow them all around the country. Finally got a chance, John, to hear words. Anything that Jerry said make any sense to you?
Nothing, no. Yeah, I mean, it made sense from, what we are already seeing, like that. He's going to try and make his case for why they're not making bigger moves in free agency, and it's all about the salary cap and things like that. I don't know. You can say all that stuff, and that's fine, but it just at the end of the day, you just look at the roster and like, this isn't a better roster than it was at the end of the season, and there's only so much you're going to be able to add to the draft. That's the thing. Like, yeah, they had successful drafts the last couple of years and got guys like Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, sure. But you can't expect to have that every single year. And I feel like this season's depending on them to have a very strong draft to make the roster get back to what it was even last year. And obviously last year wasn't like they, went to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl or anything like that. But no, there was nothing that really surprised me out of what he said. It just was his chance to kind of explain things that, we still sit here and go, yeah, but you're not a better team. When you talk about Randy Gregory, leaving and then that gives you the ability to sign 2 or 3 other players. Yeah, that's great, but those aren't players that are on his level. So, you're not getting as better. I don't know. There wasn't a major, earth-shattering takeaway from anything he had to say.
John, I don't know if you remember this, but for years, Guns N' Roses said they were going to, or at least Axl Rose said that, hey, we're going to release another album. And forever and ever and ever and ever.
Chinese diplomacy.
Chinese diplomacy, yeah, that they were going to release. And then, by the time it happened, it wasn't all that great. That's kind of how I feel about the Cowboys with the salary cap and the way that, we're concerned about the salary cap. Well, all the other teams in the league don't seem to be as worried about it as they are. So why is the salary cap real to the Jones family and fake to everyone else?
I don't know if it's fake to everyone else. There's certainly some teams more than others that are willing to put it out there. But I use those teams as the blueprint because of the fact, obviously we'll use the Rams as one of them. But you've seen it with other teams this offseason with what Denver's done, what the Raiders have done, things like that. And the reason why I look at the Cowboys and put them in that same category is, one, they already have a pretty talented roster. Their roster last year was the most talented they've had in a decade. I knew they were going to lose some pieces, but I didn't think it would get to where it is right now in an area where you're like, well, they just have to have a good draft now. And so the reason why I understand being, responsible with the cap matters most of the time. When you're the Cowboys, the roster they have, Jerry's not getting any younger. They haven't been to an NFC Championship game since 1995. Isn't right now the time to put in and go after it? It's not like they're coming off some 5-6 win season. They got a top 10 pick, and we're sitting here saying, man, you got to go out and sign at least 3 big name free agents. No one's saying that. But there are certain you could be in on some of these other players. The Bobby Wagner thing. That was never going to be as much as people wanted to talk about it. But I just thought, you basically come out of this, you lose Randy Gregory, and now you have Dante Fowler on a 1-year deal, and that's really the only thing now. And now there's Amari Cooper's gone, and Lyle Collins is gone, and I understand you're saving some money on the cap, but the overall roster isn't better. And so, is this making you better 2-3 years from now? Potentially, but it also might not. We don't know that, so that's why I understand where fans are coming from when they see their teams making these moves. And it doesn't have to just be in free agency. You can do it through a trade or two as well. To really make a splash, add a big-time playmaker on offense or defense. And clearly this team doesn't want to do that. They have their plan, and they're sticking to it.
John, this is totally off the topic of the team itself and their personnel, but the name Jerry is very fitting. I just saw another Don Van Natta article drop on the whole to-do with Jerry and a woman who is saying that she is Jerry's child, and now Shai Anderson's involved, and Charlotte, Jones Anderson's being mentioned. Have you had much of a time to wade through that, and how much is that even something that's on your radar, given that it doesn't necessarily have major implications on the team and their performance on the field, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't on the field, but I mean, just the nature of the business we're in. I mean, it doesn't just have to be the Cowboys. I mean, any type of a gossip thing about any type of off the field stuff with any sports team, I think, and probably even in other aspects of life, we're just naturally interested in it. So that's always going to be a factor. You know, Jerry was asked about the owners' meetings, and I saw that he said that it's personal and he wasn't going to comment on any of that. Which for Jerry Jones, that's actually kind of out of the box for him to just say that's personal. I'm not going to comment on that. So, you know, the Don Van Natta story came out after Jerry had talked to reporters in Florida. So it wasn't like he was responding to that individual report, the most recent one that's out there. But yeah, I mean, I keep an eye on it, but at the same time, I know it doesn't impact at least right as of right now, it's not impacting what they're doing on the field. But, you know, it is something that you can't say that it isn't on Jerry's mind. Right. You know, there's several things going on now that I think also another aspect of why probably is a little bit more with the Cowboys is because this is an owner who's also your general manager. This isn't like an owner of a lot of other sports teams where you're just like, yeah, the owner's dealing with this stuff right now, but, you know, this is free agency in the draft. You know, this is up to the front office, like the general manager's handling this stuff and that. But, like, Jerry's the general manager. So, you know, he has to be involved in football stuff, too. So if his time's being taken away from that, particularly right now, this time of year, because he's dealing with other legal matters, that's not good for the football team.
Paul, I want to go back to what you said. And I want, John, you, in one of your answers, it has been forever since they sniffed at an NFC championship game. I mean, literally sniffed at one. Then why not load up now? The Rams have sniffed at them, and they loaded up. And I'm not even a Cowboys fan, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Right, and that's the thing. If the Rams, everybody knew what the Rams were doing. They've been doing this it's not just last season. They've been headed down this direction for a while. And so if the Rams had fallen flat on their face, let's say maybe they lose in the wild card round or in the second round or something like that. I think you can make that argument if you're Jerry Jones, like, see, this team did that. But because it worked out for the Rams, that's where I look at it and I'm like, you guys aren't taking anything from that. You don't think that this is the time to do that right now? It's just going to keep being business as usual. So, I mean, like I think I've told you guys before, you know, and I'm sure you guys hear it with your show and being on social media, like, this is the most frustrated I've seen the fan base, and I believe that it is completely warranted. They should be frustrated, not only with the way how disappointing the season ended, but the lack of any big moves or anything happening, not only that have happened so far, but that are expected on the horizon. It's not like you're supposed to sit here and be like, well, they just not do anything right now because they're going to make a big move in a couple of weeks or right before the season. Like, there's no guarantee that happens. I mean, that it could, but there's a good chance that what they do in next month's draft, it pretty much rounds out the way the roster is going to look, aside from a few really low budget other free agents to kind of fill in some gaps and some reserves and stuff like that. But I don't understand why just doing that would make anyone think, oh, this team's going to be better than last year. They're going to be able to go further in the playoffs. This team's going to be ready to make a playoff run. Like, it's not a better roster. Last year's team was healthy. The chances that you're even as healthy as you were last year at the end of the season aren't great. So, yeah, it makes no sense to me why they wouldn't be trying to make some type of a big move, to make some type of a splash move, to really not just send a message to the fans, but send a message to the rest of the locker room like, hey, last year's not good enough, and we're not going to just settle for that same thing. There's been changes, but we're trying to improve this thing.
Yeah, John, I think, you know, and the thing that I think bothers a lot of people is right now, you know, the way they talk about it. Look, so the three guys that I think people would go nuts for in varying degrees would be Bobby Wagner, Tyrann Mathieu, or Jadeveon Clowney. They're probably not going to sign any of those guys, and none of those guys are going to sign for more than 2 years, and it's always not the number, it's the years, right? So it's not like they're going to sign Bobby Wagner to a 7-year contract. So it would be 2 years, and then they're out of it. So again, what are they saying that they're worried about? It doesn't make any sense.
The only thing that I can come up with is, like I said, that if you have in your mind that, hey, when everything cools down, we're going to kind of kick the tires potentially on a trade with another team. Maybe it happens on draft day. Who knows? You know, maybe that they're gonna try and make a move with a team to get a player that's an established veteran player who, if you take that player on, you know, they're going to have to be under your salary cap, so you're going to have dollars allocated to that already on the side. That's an if. That's a huge if. So if nothing like that happens, because the names you just mentioned, I don't expect any of them to be wearing a Cowboys uniform. And if none of that happens and you're just going off of your draft, like I said, this team's not going to be better than it was last year. Yes, you're in the NFC East, so it should get you in the playoffs. But there's nobody around Dallas. There's no Cowboys fans, around the world that is going to be happy with just, hey, they made the playoffs again. Like, it's about what do you have to go and make that deep playoff run. And where the roster is right now, even with a good draft, it's not better than it was last year.
John, what do you think of the new playoff overtime rules?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I just feel like, the NFL I felt like their hand was forced because, obviously the Super Bowl is the most watched game of the year, but I feel like the most talked about game was that game between the Chiefs and the Bills. And because it was played at such a high level and one of the best NFL games that's probably ever been played, you just kind of felt like same thing as like the Dez catch, when something's that big and that polarizing, that something's going to change. And so it didn't surprise me that they changed that, but when I heard that it was officially through, it just made me think of, all right, so I'm going to take me back to sitting on my couch watching that Bills Chiefs game. So if you tell me that Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen both each get the ball, they both just go right down the field and score in overtime. Well, the Chiefs still get the ball that third time. And so that's still, you can still argue like, well, then it should be until someone doesn't. And then all of a sudden you're in college rule. So it's like, I hear that rule and it sounds good on paper, but at the level that those two teams were playing in that game, I don't know if that would have answered any of the questions because I think Josh Allen gets the ball. Buffalo goes right down the field and scores after that. Kansas City gets the ball back and does the exact same thing. And so it's like, okay, so now you have it the third time. So it sounds good. Maybe there's not as good of a playoff game for the next 4 or 5 years. So no one really complains about it. But I felt like it's not a surprise because something had to be done because of just the magnitude of how important, that AFC game was, even though the fact that it really didn't matter. Neither teams, were able to get past the Bengals anyway.
John, you did your 7-round mock draft and used the Draft Network simulator, which can waste hours if you fall into it. I've done that. I've done drafts for the freaking Lions. Just for the heck of it.
Is that why they suck?
Yeah. I think my team better than the ones they've come up with. But John, you had 7-round mock. Your first one you came up with Kenyon Green. You kind of hit all the needs. Now, obviously, that's not how it's going to go. But how did you kind of approach it when you were looking at needs plus best player available as it went down the board?
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the things is that there's so many different sites that do those mock draft simulators. Well, they'll draft for all the other 31 teams, and then you just draft for whatever team you pick. And so what happened is, I did spend a lot of time on it because there are just so many guys that fall through the cracks that you're just kind of like, is this guy really going to be there in the 5th? Most people have him as a 2nd-round pick. So I did a couple different ones, and then I sent my final one to Dane Brugler and was like, hey, is there anything real ridiculous in this thing? Like, is this cool? Like, well, it at least looks reasonable or whatever. And he signed off on it and gave it his blessing. So that was good enough for me. So basically what it came down to is, like you said, it was to fill the needs. The draft's not going to go that way. It was just kind of to give a perspective to fans on like how potentially all, 9 of their picks, they don't have one in the 7th round, but they have a pick in each of the first 6 rounds, and they have 3 in the 5th round. And so because of that, they have 9 picks, and that gives you a chance to address a lot of needs. But I would say the biggest thing I was really trying to find was to get them somehow a pass rusher, wide receiver, and a left guard in the early rounds, because I just think those are their biggest holes. And again, like it won't necessarily fall that way, but it did in this mock, where that's what I did in the first 3 rounds. Is I got Kenyon Green to play left guard, got John Mechie, the wide receiver out of Alabama, he's coming off the knee injury, and maybe he's not 100% at the beginning of the season, but that just seems like the type of 2nd-round pick the Cowboys take their chance on. Is the guy with the big upside, has some injury concerns. That's why he falls to them in the 2nd round, and it fills a major need. And then in the 3rd round, to go with Sam Williams, the kid out of Ole Miss, the DN. There's just been so many connections lately with him and the Cowboys, and talk of that he could be a 2nd-round pick. But if there's a good edge rusher that falls to them in the 2nd or 3rd round, I could certainly see that being the guy that they go after. Because now that you don't bring back Gregory, Dorrance Armstrong, that's a 2-year deal. Dante Fowler's only a 1-year deal. Terrell Basham's only got a year left on his contract. So basically, other than Tank Lawrence, you got Chauncey Golston. That's it. I mean, edge rusher is a major need for this team.
John, thank you as always. It's good that there was something fresh to discuss. Thank you very much, John. Not that you're not always giving us some new insight. Thanks for your time, John Machota. theathletic.com. I know we have the top 5 coming up, but we did the earlier on the chat room, the Blue Bloods, and a lot of people were talking about UCLA has to be out, and of course the football one can go in the 90 different directions. And then we mentioned James Akinjo, and the question was, has he signed with an agent? He said he's going to. There are still some provisions. Couple of different things you can do when you declare for the draft with James Akinjo or whoever else that still allows you to return to wherever you want. And so we'll see what happens with that, but it does appear as if James Akinjo's on his way out.
No, I mean, he specifically mentioned signing with an agent in his message, and that's not always the case when guys announce that. Like, they may say, oh, I don't plan on signing with an agent. Like, who was it from Tech? I want to say Tech had somebody recently.
McCullough?
Might have been, who wasn't signing with an agent, But, I mean, he specifically mentioned he plans on signing with an agent, so that seems to be the writing on the wall there and makes that a little bit more of a sure thing. But, if I was you, I wouldn't bank on any rewinding here. I think he's out the door.
Yeah, that's what it appears as well. From Ashley Hodge, who's very much entrenched in it all. I asked him, I said, transfer portal for point guard. Not sure, may have an up on campus, may depend on what Matthew Meyer and Jeremy Sohan do. With those two, you have lots of scorers and facilitators. Cryer, Flagler, Bonner, Love, and George. Matt and Jeremy would give us, Baylor, enough, but I'll be surprised if Jeremy does come back. That doesn't mean he knows anything, but that's kind of the thought. But the Matthew Meyer thing is still out there again with what he wants to do after a year in which in some cases he was better and in some cases he was not. All right, when we come back in the studio today, we had Full Throttle. We have seen Brian Etheridge, one of the great partners this week. Of course, I just mentioned Ashley Hodge. Cole Barber's been around. Jack McKenzie, Emery Winter, Faith Lynch, and also Armstrong Sims, all front and center for us today inside the Sikkim 365 studios, and the top 5 is next. Community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Top 5 questions for Villanova. In case you haven't guessed the first 3 days this week, we're going through all the Final Four teams, and then we'll just kind of do a catch-all on Friday that's a little bit more fun. Number 5. Is the bench ready? No Justin Moore. It means that different guys are going to have to step up. And are they ready against a really good and deep Kansas team that can throw a lot of different looks at you? Is the bench ready for the minutes they're going to have to play against Kansas?
I bet, because Jay Wright and Villanova are locked in, even though you're losing a very talented player, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. They got, plenty of seniors. They've got the leadership. I mean, I know it's a big loss, but like you said, Jay Wright, I'm not going to question their readiness yet. I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah. Number 4, can Colin Gillespie keep it together for them? Because we heard what John Gallagher says. If Colin Gillespie plays in a game, they don't have turnovers on consecutive possessions. Can he do that against this Kansas team? Is that the truth? Is that really how it's going to go? Because Kansas, as good a team as they are offensively, they're probably a better defensive team. And they come out of a defensive, minded conference in the Big 12.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, they're going to face pressure from all what Kansas does. I think Colin Gillespie has to almost be flawless for them to win.
I don't know about flawless, but I mean, yeah, I think he's going to.
Well, it's not like he can't turn it over.
Right? Yeah, he's got to play a good game for them to have a chance. I mean, that's the thing about Villanova, going back to your last question about the bench. I mean, it's just these guys are going to be taxed quite a bit because of the lack of depth. But, I mean, look, can he? I don't know. But does he need to for them to have a chance? Yeah, I absolutely think that he does have to play at a very, very high level. So, I mean, it's going to be all hands on deck for Nova, especially with that Moore injury.
They played 2 guys off the bench in the win against Houston. They played 3 off the bench. And, of course, everyone tightens up the rotation. There aren't many like St. Peter's that brings 5 new guys in. But the only one that really played multiple long minutes was Daniels, who I like a lot. He created some problems. I think it was Daniels last year. No, Samuels was the one that created problems for Baylor.
Yeah. Number 3, can the defense control the tempo? These are 2 very good defensive teams playing against each other, but Villanova is built more with their defense than their offense than I would even say the Jayhawks are. This is a team that they want to keep it in the 60s. If it gets in the 70s, you would think this is Kansas's game. Back and forth in the 70s. If it gets Kansas in the 70s, before Villanova gets in the 70s, then Kansas is going to run away with the game, which I don't necessarily think is going to happen because it's Jay Wright and Bill Self, and that's 2 Titans going against each other. But can their defense be the tempo controller of this game?
In their losses, of course, the Baylor loss, I mean, they scored 36 points. They gave up 57 to Marquette, 83 to Marquette, 71 to UConn, and then also in the postseason, UCLA scored 86 on them and Purdue scored 80. So, yeah, when they get into those games, not that they can't themselves score, but that's not what they usually do well.
Yeah. Number 2, can they overcome the injury to Justin Moore? I mean, is this in a week, can they get ready for this? I know it's kind of similar to the bench thing, but where are the points going to come from the starters? Where are some of those things going to come from that they'll need without Justin Moore in that lineup? And it really sucks that he's not in this game.
In the game with Houston, bad for him. Yeah, in the game with Houston, 7 players played. 6 of them played 25 minutes or more. 5 of them played 32 minutes or more. And then
Archie
Diacono played 2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes. And that was probably to come in for maybe 30 seconds for more here and there. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The depth is going to be an issue, and they're going to be playing, those starters are going to be playing a whole lot of minutes. And I know that's not something that they're, totally not used to, but this is a fresh injury in terms of availability. So, yeah, going to be even more taxing and not a lot of reinforcements or life rafts sitting there waiting on you. So,
no.
Yeah, I think they can, but it obviously, state the obvious, it makes everything far more difficult.
And every box score, and I've only been able to go to 6 or 8 of them of the games that Villanova's played, on the bench, the minutes for the bench, Daniel's usually 25, 30 minutes. All the other ones, 0, 2, 4, and 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's what they do. So they're ready. But, that's why are these guys ready? Because they haven't played that much. Yeah. Somebody's gonna have to play more than they have against Kansas. And number 1, can they score with Kansas? If their defense does not control the tempo, sometimes you can expect a defense game or an offensive game, and it just doesn't go that way. You could, have games that are 81 to 77 from 2 teams built on their defense, and you have 2 teams that can't hit a shot for anything, and you have a game that's 50 to 48. So if
that game's 50 to 48, Villanova's winning.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But if it gets out of their defensive control, can they score with them? I don't know. Because you've got 4 guys that can score on Kansas for sure when they go, maybe 5. And especially now that Remy Martin's there. Remy, Ochai, Christian Brown. I don't even need to get into McCormick and Wilson, but they can score. And so if those 3 guys score, I don't think, and like I said from the very beginning of this thing, if those 3 guys all score in the same game, nobody's beating Kansas.
Yeah.
Well, and are they doing it at a breakneck tempo too? Mm-hmm. Like, are they up tempo and scoring, lights out? That you double whammy it there. Like Villanova's got to have all hands on deck and everybody pulling a bit more weight. But if they're also going with a pretty quick tempo, that's going to wear guys down. So yeah, it's going to be a battle of attrition for Villanova. I know they've got some options, although limited, and it is unfortunate that we're at this point. But the team that we cover on a regular basis, they had multiple injuries right there at the end of the year, and then one that lingered throughout most of the season that, we can all say what if. So, I think Villanova fans, unless they go in these next 2 games, are going to be wondering what if, Justin Moore doesn't get hurt, or what if this doesn't happen. But you know what? You got to roll with what you got. So we'll see. And it should be a great game. It would be a better game if Moore was playing.
So the news today, Kendall Brown enters the NBA draft. James Akinjo on his Instagram account mentions that he's entering the NBA draft with the plans to hire an agent, and today was pro day at Baylor. Jack McKenzie has put up all of the audio and much more on the site. It's unbelievable what we can get up so quickly. Grayson's thoughts, Craig's thoughts, and we've discussed it and digested it here on the show. So we just come back and do it again tomorrow from 3 until 6 with more focus on the Final Four. Armstrong Sims, Faith Lynch, Emery Winter, Jack McKenzie, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak. We appreciate you. Thank you for your support, loyalty, as we're closing in on 2 years. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Thanks to our great sponsors. Good night.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.